Ooh, I think I'm good. Oh, damn. Hips are already feeling kind of weird. Anyway, hey everyone, this is Do Coffee with Soul. I'm your host. We're gonna chat. We're gonna talk. Did that person answer my thing? Am I gonna get some gold? Nope. Never mind. We're gonna chat. We're gonna talk. We're gonna hang out. We'll see what sorts of news stuffs happen today. We're gonna find out. Hey, might they announce patch 11.1.7 already? Because we're ready to move on. No, I'm just kidding. Actually, I'm not kidding. You know, what's going to be next? I'm at least excited to know what's going to be happening next in WoW. Whether it's a new patch or more housing stuff. That's always nice to see. But I hope everyone's doing well. It's Wednesday, which means we've had at least one day of stuff happening. Hope everyone's raids were doing okay, that your loots were merry, and that the drama was kept to a minimum. Raid last night was actually pretty good. We did pretty darn well. We just need to like get over that little bit of a hump to take care of the what's his name, fam? Muggsy, there we go. But yeah, we otherwise like smashed, and partially thanks to the buff that went through, partially thanks to just us, you know, getting more experience and time into it. Treadmill Slayer, yeah, Treadmill Slayer. But I am currently using like this this foot pad. So here, let me show you. Let me show you real quick. So I'm using like this kind of contraption here. So what you do, you just kind of like, so I'm barefoot right now, and I just kind of, you know, kind of do my thing. I'm standing around, but I'm also every now and then just kind of stimulating the feet by stretching them, and otherwise giving giving the bridge and the balls of my feet like a little something to do, or stretching my calves, or stretching my toes and all that stuff. So it actually feels quite nice. I think this one's pretty big though. There's like a small one, so I might pick that one up because it happens to be cheaper, and sure, like, why not? But otherwise, it's kind of like a fun toy, or just kind of a fun little distraction kind of thing for me to mess around with while I'm, you know, standing around and doing stuff. So it's pretty neat. I like it. Let me give a quick hello to Darth. You're the first person to say hi. What's up to Arcadius and Festies, to Boomer and Peter and Neeb and Arumus, and YouTube seems quiet. Anyone on YouTube land, feel free to say hi really quick. I just want to make sure the chat's working right. Otherwise, let me like pop on really quick, make sure that the chat is like scrolling. Today's going to be another pretty chill day, I think. We're going to at least take a look at not take a look at anything. We are going to do some more comp stomp, because I kind of forgot. Like I forgot that I actually need another 160 marks of honor. So on top of the 80 that I already got, I need another $160 in order to get 2 more arsenals from Shadowlands. So apparently I just never got it from back in the day, from the before times, whatever. Okay, there's the chat. Yeah, for whatever reason, like this chat program, like this thing that I use to monitor my chat and all that stuff, it's not working right. But oh well, I can still see chat, so it's still cool. What's up to Double Brutal, to Holy Kitty, to Marshall Pierce, and to Chungus? Hey, I didn't forget y'all. We're good. So it's good to have y'all. And otherwise, we're just gonna hang out. So what you guys been up to? Did you guys raid? Did you get anything good? I did not. I didn't get jack. As you no. I got some transmog. Yay, fucking transmog. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got. So kind of sad. Kind of sad song, but it's all right. I can live with it. Big thanks to who is it here? Big thanks to Degreesomer. Hey, hello. I hope you're doing all right. Love Comstomp so much. You can actually play the game, though. In Season 1, they did a ton of damage. Oh, is that how it was? I didn't do any Comstomp in Season 1 at all. At all. Thanks for the beaches. Hey, happy to help out. I'm going to be doing like a normal Link stream, just like before. So I'm going to be on for about like 3 and some hours, unless something cool happens. But I mean, what cool thing would happen? Like the, what's it called? The Boston thing, that's going to go on at 10. And then next week is the actual Boston thing. We'll see if I go. I was fine during Comstop as a balance because I was doing absurd damage if I lived. So does that mean you're mostly like kind of like racing to get to where the crowd was? Because like what I'll do, I can't do it on this character. This dude will get stomped. But on my main, when I was doing my rounds, I was like, I pushed straight to stables, held, waited for the team to get there, and then I tried to like beeline over to the graveyard as soon as I can. So then they're all just like living in there, like and then they would all spawn and we'd mow them down anyway, and that's always fun. So. You raided until your power went out. Team went on to clear all the way to Hero Galliwix. Damn! That sucks. That's a lot of loot that you might have lost out on. That stinks. And let's do roulettes. Oh, wait. Comstop. Okay, so let me find my yak dude here. Just so I can prepare for the goodness once I zone over. And then we'll do stuff. You always rush the bots too? Yeah. I'm doing good, Degreesomer. Doing good. Raid went well last night. Didn't get anything as usual, but it's alright. I can finally have like a nice full day of taking on Muggsy, but I'm counting on him going down fairly quickly on Thursday. We just need people to show up. That's really it. As long as we get bodies, nice. It's so flush. As long as we get bodies, then like we're good. I actually like how, okay, it doesn't match very well, but I liked how the helmet sits with these shoulders here. It's actually not bad. Everything else is awful. Everything else is awful, but this part's not bad. And why don't I see my oh wait, I don't have a shield on? Oh, I'm Rhett. Oh no. Okay, I'm red. Okay, so I'm just not going to be in front. Okay. So the especially cool thing about this Comstomp is that it lines up with the BG bonus event. So just keep doing them, right? Just do BGs and you'll get like you'll score some extra marks of honor and honor, of course. But I haven't really been paying attention to honor itself. I'm like, honor, what's that? So I have like this much, and I can get. Okay, that's my... Yeah, so that's the honor that I have spread out right now. And then I can buy, like, whatever. So I guess... I guess this add-on, something is showing me the grand total of, like, how much of everything I have. Okay. I don't know what add-on that is. But an add-on is showing it to me. I'm pretty sure it's in that. It was a cheap mod. I also love Comstomp because you can actually play the game. Well, you can play this part of the game. There is like a, PvP's a thing. And as much as some people hate it, like I've fallen off from it like many moons ago. But it's a different vibe. It's very much a different vibe. I wouldn't mind seeing something like hey, what if they were to have something like, basically Warfronts are PvE battlegrounds, if you want to think of it like that. And I'd like that. You know, that's kind of cool. Don't hit me. Don't hit me. Yes. All right. And I'll just chill here. I think I can handle one solo fight. Maybe. Wait, I have 3.5 million health. No way. No, I can't. I got... Yeah. I gotta replace my gloves. I gotta replace my belt. I gotta replace my helmet. I've gotta have, like, some stuff on me. Some, like, warbound gear. That's, like... This is a crime. What's that? Okay, that's a tavern. Never mind. Okay. So that's fine. Everything else, not so much. Oh, I thought this was my team. Oh, shit. Help. Help. Where's my buddies? How did that tune level? This tune leveled primarily from flying around. So they were flying around during Hallow's End. You know, that was when we were. That was the whole thing with you know, you can stack some XP boost, and I was just flying around because of the earthen bonus. So yeah, did that, and then I think delves too. So yeah, that was it. But hey, you saw me cap a flag though, so yeah, don't mess with me. I'm serious. Anything season 4 scales to 630. So can I open my war bank thing? Let me see if there's like stuff I can bum off of, or stuff that I just have. Shit. So there's a shield. No shield. I do have a. Those are one-handers. Okay, that's not gonna do. That actually I can use. That I can use. That is the same thing. What else we got? Maybe I should just switch to prop for this or something. Oh, I can replace this heirloom ring. Yeah, so I can replace. So there's that. So no other things, huh? Damn. Let me see if I'll check the war bank after this, because this thing might end pretty soon and I'll still be looking through stuff and then I'll feel bad. Yeah, because right now I have 4.2 million health. These dudes got 10, 7. Yeah, I think 7 is what I should have, as long as I have like minimal gear, and then it scales me up to whatever the PvP item level is. Yeah, because this is sad puppy. Let's see. Oh, we're doing squat. Oh, that's right. I turned squats back on. Okay, we're doing squats. Okay, hold on. Let me get out of here. Yay. Yeah, I thought I turned them on yesterday, and I was like, huh, no one's asking me to do them. That's interesting. So let me make sure that I have my feet like on a good spot, because I don't want to fuck up and yeah, I don't want to fuck up and fall onto the desk and push the desk, knock it over. Then that's all bad. Okay, I forgot what I set the squat limit to. I know I capped it for a day, but that feels good. Squats are bad. I need to set up a sound alert for that though. Maybe I'll have Bob do a thing where he's like, squat, 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 squat. You know, that's it. All right, so I got that recipe, yay. But I wanted to go to the war bank while I queue up. All right. All right, so I need well, I'll just grab these, yeah. I definitely need gloves. I need a belt. I need a helmet. And that's good enough. But then I'll get other stuff too. I need feet. I think that's everything so far. No, I think a chest too, right? Yeah, chest. And then everything else is not my armor type, so cool. So from item level 444 to cool. I gained 129 item level. Yay! Yeah, I can convert it to tier as well. Nice. That's true. Just have Bob say someone redeem Scott's time to do him. Item level 1. It better go quick. Come on, I came up from what was basically like starting gear. That's sad. That's really sad. But hey, now I have 5.5 million health. Hey, so what am I still actually missing? I'm missing a ring. Ring, one trinket, a weapon. Oh, I didn't look for a weapon. I should have looked for that. You know, I still might have time. Still might have time to very quickly go for a weapon here. So, weapon. There is Big Earner's Bludgeon. That's it. Big Earner. No, that's a one-hander. No, I have no two-handers. Well, fiddlesticks. Well, you know what that means. That's gonna mean I go prot. Oh, no, I don't think I can spec prot, even if I wanted to. Never mind. I'm just gonna hold on to this. If anything, I should give it back to my main. So that way he can upgrade it and unlock Transmog. Getting buck 29 animal sounds like shitty alt night. Oh yeah, no kidding, dude. I hope we have that soon. I really hope we have that soon because, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But now I feel like a ret that I should be able to handle like a one-on-one. So I'll just go behind these guys. And we ride. We ride. I only got to do 2 more BGs anyway. And I'm actually, you know, if someone can correct me if I'm wrong. Once upon a time, I was pretty sure that, like this replica High Warlord shield, that you needed to have the legacy battleground rating, or, you know, honor rating in order to get that. But I saw the requirement say you need it for rated battlegrounds now. I don't know if that changed or if it was always like that, but it looks like I can actually go for it and get that shield. Problem is, I got to do rated battlegrounds. I've never done one before, ever. Like, where are we at? RBGs, dungeons and raids, PvP. Rated battleground, gray. All gray. Not a thing. Never, ever, ever. And I'm sure I'm not alone on this either. But I guess I need to get like a certain rating in order to get this. So I'm kind of scared. Otterhead, hi. Watch me on YouTube. First time you saw me on Twitch. Well, welcome. Feel free to hang out for as little or as long as you like. Reminder, there's drops and stuff happening too. So in case you're new to Twitch as well, you know, make sure that you will have your Battle.net thing linked to your Twitch account. That way you can get a hit. Haven't PvP'd. Yeah, me neither. Like nothing serious. Like the closest thing that I've done with PvP, like, no, this is it. This is as good as it gets. But the last time I really did PvP was back in Cataclysm. Many, many moons ago. Yeah, that is a lot of moons. And that was as a holy paladin. Yeah, holy paladin. I have no, I didn't have really like a lot of prowess as, get him, get someone. Yeah, I didn't have much prowess as Rets. Prot wasn't really like a thing back then. Hell, it isn't a thing now. But definitely not back then either. So I did holy. If anything, like, I remember my mindset. My justification was, hey, you know what? If I'm holy, I'm pretty much a tank because everyone's coming after me anyway. Right? So, like, that was the thing for me. You can solo RPGs not that hard now. You need 1600 rating to buy the weapons and gear transmogs. So real talk, like 1600 rating. How easy, hard is that? Right time to decide what's for dinner. Should I order from this Greek Mexican fusion place that's just opened, or should I get a curry? Life's tough choices. Well, I think you want to ask yourself, Peter, do you want to go on an adventure, or do you want to play it safe? There's no bad. Maybe that doesn't help because there's no wrong answer, but it's kind of like what you're in the mood for. Run heroics and that's about it. How about delves? You tried doing delves, dude? Those can be fun if you're into that. Never had curry here. Actually, okay, what kind of curry? Japanese curry, Indian curry. Oh, it's Thai curry. Okay, cool. Yeah, you know, I don't really have Thai curry. Yeah. So a Greek Mexican fusion place. Or Thai curry. How spicy is Thai curry actually? Because yeah, I've never had it. Like I'll have other stuff at Thai places. I'll typically fall back onto like this kind of seafood pancake that a certain place has. Oh, so good. Okay, now I'm getting hungry. Well, yeah, at least here in the Bay Area, you predominantly, you think curry, you think, you know, we have a pretty strong Indian presence here. There's a lot of Japanese curry places as well, so. Second only Indian curry in terms of chili. Because yeah, Japanese curry is way different. That's like, it's like candy. You know, you want sweet curry? There you go. Alright, so I'm going to... I just gotta do one more on this one. So let me look at my inventory again. So I know I had like one of these big earner's blood gems, and it looks like I can unlock another thing if I upgrade it. But I think there was a second weapon that I had here too, which is also veteran. So since I have two, I'm like, ah, screw it, I'll just have both. Which means I can, in fact, take this. Oh, there's a trinket I can take too. Sure, why not? Can't hurt. So I'll take that one. And oh, wait, I didn't put it on. What up? Well, whatever the case, I'm going to. Inventory's full. Without fail. Every character I have. Just problems. Problems. And I gotta hurry, because that thing's gonna fall. Okay, there's a... So I'll just put that on. And then... Okay, I already have stuff on me. So that, and then there's a... You know, actually, I think I'm fine like this. So... Let me double check the queue. Make sure I'm tanky wanky. Okay, if I change to prot and then I go in, I think it's gonna force change me into back into red anyway. So oh well, no big deal. Maybe I'll get back to this character another time. The next calm stomp, if there is another one this season. That's why I wasn't sure about ordering again at the place near me, but I will go yellow and order the fusion. I'm really curious about their tacos. Ooh, tacos. Let's see, what's for lunch for me? It's going to be frozen kebab, meats, and salad. Yeah, spinach and kebab meat. And I like it, you know, it's good, so. Talents. Yay. Need to play your pallies more? Don't we all? Come on, greatest class, and they look fantastic. I mean, look at them, so sexy. So hot. Alright. Okay. You can't PvP as prot? Oh, I can. I can if I want to. But then I think like maybe it's just arenas where like if you queue up as a certain spec, it'll force you into that spec when you actually go inside. So no, it's not like that. Survival hunter. All my hunter. Let's see. My strongest hunter right now is marksman, and then the rest are Beastmaster, which is kind of helpful for the Mugsy fight as it is right now because I have my Beastmasters helping me with catching those bombs. 9 million health as prot. Fuck. I should be able to handle a solo. I mean, I'll do callouts and stuff. I'll do callouts, but I can definitely at least like survive here. I might need some backup. I'll just like scream. So survival hunter, holy priest, and resto shaman. I don't know if I'll ever find for myself like a good like partner alt that I'll be like, all right, this is my alt. I just can't find happiness DPSing or healing really. Like I get some happiness healing as my paladin. But like the other classes, no, not so much. Like as a paladin, like I end up doing a lot of soft healing. I'm not doing a lot of direct healing. But I'll find myself, you know, I'm having a good time. Let's see, am I hammer spec? No, I am lightsmith. The best smith. Mahaha. Holy priest is good. I remember when you laughed out of a raid when you played Holy Priest. I don't remember those days. No, I've always liked Holy Priest. I thought they were awesome. Yeah, they're just cool. Like they got cool shit like Prayer of Mending, which is like one of my favoriteest things to see. I love seeing that shit bounce around. Come to Butthead. And boop, yay! Alright, we get it apart. That should clean it up. Let me change this, put this on. I need like 3 versions of my chat open so I can make sure I'm seeing everyone's message. Let's see. Prop Paladin is treated as a healer in solo shuffle and will always queue another Prop Paladin. Yeah, that I always found fascinating, but I'd always get mad because like they were always outperform me and then I get pissed. So, yeah, I'll get mad over that. I'm like, no, do better. Alright, so Comstomp is yeah, it's versus bots. Sorry, I was ignoring the YouTube chat. See, that's why I have all these damn chat problems. Yay! Love the water heal concept. I like that. No, seeing things like, I love spells like Chain Lightning, Chain Heal, and stuff. I love that kind of effect. It just looks cool, and I'm all about that. I love the vibe of it, but I just don't do well at playing it. All right, so this guy's done. He got his marks of honor. Thank you, buddy. Oh, there's more stuff. Oh yeah, because I forgot to, because I skipped my inventory thing, or my bags are full. All right, so that should be good. Let's send this stuff off. That's another 12. So my main is currently sitting on a little over 80. So I might not be able, what sucks, I might not be able to finish getting all the appearances that I want unless I were to hard grind it, which I don't think I want to do. So I have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You know, I might be able to do it, actually. I might be able to do it. I like smart heals. That too. That part's cool. And I remember back in the day when like things like Circle of Healing, it just healed everyone that was inside, and now I believe it's fewer targets. But it focuses on people who are injured and all that stuff. And my nose is acting crazy. I'm just waiting for the allergy meds to kick in. I'm also trying a different kind of grocery store coffee. The coffee that I usually have from Trader Joe's, it's a French one. This time it's Italian, and it's like you know, it's like, what would you like your dirt to taste like? Oh, I want to have this even earthier blend. Oh, I want like notes of chocolate or something like that. No, this is just straight up Italian. This is dark. And when I first had it, I was like, ooh, this is gonna take me a little bit to get used to. And then after like one mug, I was like, okay, I'm used to it. I like this. And you know, yeah, I'll admit it. Yeah, I like smart heals. They're fun. They look cool. They look cool, and I just like the way that it bounces. See, just watching them bounce the way they do is just neat. Yeah, I'm a weird one. Okay, so back to Comstomp. So let me look at Wowhead again about the replica High Warlord's Shield Wall. So according to Wowhead, I need to be let's see. Something High Warlords. Something. Shield Wall, here we go. Oh wait, it doesn't show the same requirement. What the hell? Yeah, because at least on Wowhead, like some of these things they show up, but then other things don't. Oh, it's because like one's Horde, one's Alliance, and it's just not showing it correctly. It just should be there. I think that's what's going on. It just might be a Wowhead bug. Something QA. Yeah, must achieve Legionnaire rank in rated battlegrounds to purchase Legionnaire. So what is Legionnaire. Legionnaire is 1800. Fuck. Okay. So how hard is it to get to 1800 in rated battle in battle? Yeah, this. Anyone out there who does PvP? Like, what's the journey gonna be like? Because I'll probably do it as holy. I'm just gonna have to quite hard. Fuck. Damn it. But it's a shield, you know? It's a shield. Soul law demands that I collect it someday. Because there are times you get clueless people. I mean, what sucks is that I'll be going, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it as holy, and that's, you know, responsibility. So maybe the safer play would be to do it as ret. I don't know. I'm not sure. You know, I'm just going to have to go through the grinder, honestly, and just suffer and figure it out. So, sorry, let me... This way? No, the other way. Okay. Yeah, so I'm just gonna have to maybe suffer. Just do problem, piss people off. I can do that too, but then that's also responsibility, depending on what battleground it is. And especially since I don't have the gear, yeah. I guess starting off as, I guess ret would start off best because I can keep my head down for the most part and slowly get gear, and then work my way towards maybe going for holy. You know, once I get a handle of like sort of how to do things. Oh, let me buff these dudes. Yeah, there you go, guys. I'm gonna be way back here because at least I have like some. Okay, I don't really have season stuff, but it's still fine. You have to commit to one spec. Well, I'm just talking about when I'm first starting up, right? It's not like, wait, it's not like I have to get 1800 only playing as one spec, right? I'm just doing it for like I'm starting off for just gearing up, right? Getting some more gear, getting used to stuff. So I'm gonna just start off as ret, and then once I feel like I have like the comfortable gear or whatnot, then I'll keep going. And I'll switch to like holy or prod or something. That would be the idea. Oh, am I here? Okay. Zap. Woo. Oh, shadow form. That'll do it. I'm afraid I'm not really contributing much. But, yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. I'm here. Bloody token gear is a great way to get starting a PvP gear. So, like, well, my item level right now is 6. Actually, no. My gear is bad because I have less than 1% verse. So I'm gonna have to gear from the start. Yeah, I gotta start from the bottom basically, and verse my way up. I remember in season 1 doing Constomp with PvE gear as demo lock and that topping the damage. I mean, essentially, like PvE and PvP gear, it's all just item level. But then when you get to like those higher levels, then the versatility will really start kicking in, and it's gonna matter, especially if they start focusing on you. Yeah. Otherwise, at least when you're like getting started, and then you're like a glass cannon, you're just focusing on like on burst. Yeah, I think you'll excel really well. But yeah, I mean, PvP gear just straight up has verse and another stat. That's how it works. I don't think there's any PvP gear that doesn't have like a boatload of verse. Don't be Shadow Priest and Solo Shuffle. People have a vendetta against a vendetta. No. I'll be doing it as my Paladin. 100%. 100%. We good? Alright. Alright, we're not exactly like slamming the graveyard, but we won. Yeah. Whatever you do not spend conquest on a weapon. Good tip. Oh, why? I know there's a crafted weapon we can make. But then, is that the reason why to not make a conquest weapon? Or why to not buy one? I'm sorry. When you get 2,500 conquests. Oh, so once you accrue that much, then you just get a weapon for free. Oh, that's neat. Sweet. And that doesn't take too long either, right? Getting 2,500 conquest. This is my first match as the FA, so I got to do 2 more. Got me thinking of PvP, and I'll just play my regular gear. I mean, how else do you start, right? Yeah, there's no shame in that. You got to start somewhere. Yeah, so I'll just chill here and do more. I mean, if anything, I can, I'm getting a lot of honor. So I'm just gonna, like, mooch all the honor that I'm getting, get myself some starting sets, and then I'll slowly progress from there. Fastest conquest coin or the crate farming in war mode group of finder. Not a bad tip. When doing Battleground Blitz, yeah, when doing that, like, how often are people like, oh my god, look at this scrub, and then they immediately kick him? Is that like a thing? I'll feel so terrible. if that were to happen to me, I'm like, oh no. Lewd Boo, I love that name. That's awesome. Hello to you too, dude. And also thank you to shoot, who is it? Paul Henry Rager. Paul Henry Rager? Whatever the case, thank you. Thank you very much for subscribing. I appreciate it. We're stomping today, by the way. In Blitz, not really. In Battlegrounds, depends. Okay, so not in Blitz. Because they're small games too, right? There's only like not even 10 people. Get in groups and snag the crates in Warmouth that give 60 conquest each, and along with bloody coins and honor. Yeah, so I at least want to, like, dress correctly before I get started. Like, the really big thing is I don't have I have no verse. Like, I'll just melt. 659 item level, splat. And they're just doing arenas? No. My mission is to get a shield. And I will go on the shortest path to do it, but I won't pay for it. I don't want to get carried for it necessarily. Like, I'll go through the rough patches and deal with it. That's the kind of gamer I am. Like, if it's jank, but it's still like, but I can put up with it, then I'm going to do it. That was like me in Nightfall. It's like, oh man, this thing's pretty busted. But then I just figured it out. I'm like, okay, I can still do this, and so I did it. But arenas, I've done it with friends sometimes, and we would have like a pretty much a 50-50 win ratio, and that would get to like 1,600, and then I'd stop, and like that's it. So, but yeah, like the serious PvP ended with Cataclysm. Like, one day I just stopped doing it, and then I never really went back at a serious level. I don't think I've gotten close to a gladiator type, but I would always just, like, get lazy and stuff. But I would do BGs for fun, because back then, what else do you do? Really, what else did we do in WoW? We did dailies, we leveled up, we did dungeons, and until we didn't have to do them anymore. We did raids, and that was it. And then PvP, because there's nothing else to do. Well, I guess I'll do some battlegrounds for some gear or whatever. Yeah, that's it. PvP gearing is the easiest it's ever been if you know what to do, but Blizzard doesn't help getting people into it. I think people need to want to do it first, you know, and it's hard because if you want people to do it, oh shit, I'm alone. Uh-oh. I'm gonna be fucking in trouble, dudes. All right, let's mentally prepare ourselves for a losing fight. Just kind of hoping that someone's gonna show up. Someone's gonna show up, and I need to remember all the buttons. And a psychic scream. Let's not forget it. The button this time. Let's not forget. I feel like, hey, what's up? Don't stand next to the flag. But I'm compelled, especially in Comstom, because they'll just go for it, right? They'll ignore you and go for the flag if I'm standing far away enough. Otherwise, I can't help but stand next to the flag. It's like the law. Or maybe no one will show up. Pro gamer. Pro gamer. Of course, there are times too I'll be like, you know, most of the time in BGs, I'll like just do this, you know, whenever I key for AB and I get in here, I'm like, oh yeah, I'll just do the farm. Do the farm, I'll do call outs, and like that'll be it. Alright, do some laps. Rogue will show up eventually. Yeah, they tend to. But not yet. I'm kind of surprised. They usually show up kind of fast. Otterhead, thank you. Thank you very much for giving me the prime. Yay! Wait, we don't have the mine yet? Come on, guys. Oh, I think that's where all the dudes went. They were just trying to hold on to the farm. Most of the time people take out the rogue and druid on the road before they go for the farm. Okay, you do this a lot. You do this a whole lot. There's no, you know, no denying your expertise, dude. So what do you think is going to happen in 40 minutes? Do you think we're going to get a patch thing? Patch announcement? It's been a week. So it's very plausible. Very, very plausible that we'll see a new patch. Yay! But what do you think, though? Like, what can they introduce in 11.17 that, you know, aside from story, of course, that we feel like we gotta, like, ooh, I gotta dive in and check this out? Because at least, like, gear-wise, there's a lot of shit that we're getting in this patch. You know, Final Surge stuff is you know, we already got like the transmog farms with Nightfall. We're gonna get more, you know, more mid progression activities with Horrific Visions, the Final Surge, the whatever it's called, the more gear thing. You know, that's happening in just about what, 2 weeks or so. So what else? Ladies and gentlemen, get ready for a new public event. Oh, snap. No, that's that would not sit well with people. Part of me thinks the Panda heritage thing. It's time, right? I'd like to say that. I think it's time. You're a good one, like your attitudes towards the game and in general. Well, thank you. I try to, you know, game has problems, you know, but and you know, we should give her feedback, but I'm not the type who's going to dwell or hold a grudge or get like emotionally involved in it. So just chill. I'm I'm torn. Like, there's drops going on, but there's a new Diablo 4 season, and I want to play it. I usually give myself like a good couple weeks to like play a season, and then I just totally drop it. But I'm curious to see what the new season's all about, how it feels, and to see if Necromancer minion builds are like super awesome. But now with WoW as it is, and it's like, oh, there's all this stuff we can start farming for so we can get the core. Now I'm like, ooh, now I feel like it's not like I'm going to be locked in. I'm going to play this thing 26 hours a day. It's just more like, do I want to put time into other games? And at the moment, it's like, no, not really. Too much stuff going on. If anything, Ogres for the Horde and Ethereals for the Alliance. I wouldn't want there to be faction restrictions anymore. Like, let's see. We've had allied races, and so between the Earthen and the Draftier, you know, we've been getting just, you know, these faction agnostic races. I don't think I'd want to see one side for one and then the other. It's going to bring all the old faction shit back to the surface, and I don't know. I feel like it's just not necessary anymore. You've been addicted since like 2006. Heronir has been like the popular one as to like, hey, what's the next allied race or whatever going to be? Because, you know, one, they have been working with either faction. Oh hell, this whole expansion is like not even, they don't give a shit about factions. And I'm one of those folks. I could care less. I think they could just go away. I don't really care about it. Too much stuff going on, if anything. Yeah. I'm an older player by a lot. You know, the chat here, since you're kind of new here, Otterhead, the chat here, you know, we go along a pretty wide spectrum. Like, you know, we're older. I'm like almost 17, so I think I'm like the floor of age. Just kidding. 61. No, we have some older folk here. Yeah. So you're in some decent company. Don't worry about it. Yeah. We're all gamers here, dude. We grew up, you know, a lot of us grew up to this stuff. That's it. I ain't gonna judge. Unless you're in the guild and you're in my group and you're getting us killed. I'm like, But in my guild, doesn't matter how old you are. All of us screw up. All of us. Without, yeah, I don't think there's any exception. Everyone dies. Everyone dies, everyone flubs, but whatever. We need to get back to hero classes. The intro of DK was awesome, starting at level 55. Let's see, what were the other hero classes? Death Knights were a hero class, Demon Hunters were a hero class, Evokers were a hero class, and then they weren't. You know, it is cool, you know, how they get like this really grand intro, demonstrate how they power up and all that stuff. That part's cool. The levels, so like we've noticed, y'all noticed that, you know, the whole hero leveling aspect of it, that's like a temporary thing. That doesn't last forever. You know, eventually they get knocked down to like the rest of them. It's like, hey, you want to go to Exile's Reach? Sure, let's go. Oh, that was the wrong ability and the wrong mob. That's why I'm not a great caster. I'll tab target and go for like the totally wrong dude. I should have a thing where I don't see the pet nameplates, but I can't help it. So you think Monk should have been hero class? Dude, their intro made him feel like a hero class. Because Chen like slapped that footman and orc dude. I think I'm going to... Oh, we're all kind of split. Oh, wait, what? Someone hit the farm? Hold on. I'll at least help out with that. I'm not alone, at least. Go, Zappies. Oh, no. And Zappies. Oh, look at that fear. Oh, fucking. Oh. Damn it. Come on, get him. Yay. Alright. Now we'll hold. Still probably got fun. Yeah. That's the annoying thing too, because if I skip, there's a reasonable chance that everyone else will skip too. And then we got a back cap, and then it's like, ah. See, we could have been almost done, but oh. Drew might have gotten arrested. I think they would have engaged by now, though, right? And I'm not alone, so I'm good. Evoker didn't feel like proper hero class the way Death Knight did. I think that's debatable, Jason. I would say that I thought that Demon Hunters felt pretty epic. I think that's kind of an emotional draw, right? Death Knights, they had Arthas leading them and doing all that stuff. Demon Hunters had Illidan leading them, doing all that stuff. I thought that was kind of cool. Actually, no, Illidan wasn't there to lead them. He was busy getting blasted. But you know what I mean. Yeah, Drakthir, I would say not so much. Drakthir, to their credit, like between Demon Hunters and Death Knights, that's pulling from Warcraft 3. And that's and Warcraft 3 and the RTS, that's like a barrel that they've been scraping for a while. You know what I mean? Eventually they have to create some new stuff, and not everyone's going to be a fan of it, but they eventually need to do that, because otherwise we would be stuck with we would be stuck there, playing with references to this game that a lot of people never played because it just wasn't relevant back then, or they weren't alive back then. That is a leather worker. There. Okay, so that's done. Moving on. Next character. So one day, if we make the broad assumption, ooh, there's going to be a Tinker class. How epic is that going to feel? How heroic is that going to feel? I think it's going to be the same difference. Or, we might get that same sort of vibe because it doesn't really refer back to anything. But that's me guessing what a Tinker in WoW is going to be like. Like these days, my vision of a Tinker is based on Titan technology and not Goblin or Goblin or Gnome technology. It's more like a Tinker is someone who discovered this lost technology of the Titans and is trying to figure this shit out. And so they tinker with stuff and make some cool things out of it, like a shoulder bazooka, or I don't know, just ridiculous stuff like that. I am a hunter. I need 3 more things. Okay. And 612, good enough. As long as I'm over 600, perfectly viable. Perfectly viable. Not very, considering Blizzard has a hard time balancing this game for 20 years. Well, I think that's almost a given. But I'm not even talking about whether it's going to be balanced. I'm just thinking epic as in like, you know, an intro story and then, you know, elevating them and making them seem cool. Robotic totem-like things like turrets. It's like if we were to chart like classes and weapon types and armor types and roles and whatnot, you know, it's like we're due for a class that uses mail, although we just had evokers, but we're due for a class that uses mail and uses a gun and can tank. It's like that's what, you know, the numbers suggest that. The reality, not so much. I feel like Tinker class might be a class like brand tanking spec. It could be, you know. You know, people think of a ranged tank, and my first thought actually is a paladin because they have a lot of ranged abilities to hold threats, kind of lock dudes down, sort of keep dudes at a distance. But otherwise, when they come in, then they engage. That's kind of what Brand does too. So. But I don't know. What could a Tinker be? What, you know, would the theme be Titan based or Goblin and Gnome based? Or something like both? Yeah. I don't know. Dun dun dun. It could be all of it. You know, because their I guess their expertise with technology has to start somewhere. You know, so they're familiar with like some, maybe that could be some of the specs, right? So as a tinker, you either have, you know, goblin stuff, gnome stuff, or titan stuff. I don't know. Hero spec titan tech, hero spec goblin and gnome, maybe. You know, as fans, we can think of all sorts of shit, and it might sound awesome. And then when Blizzard comes out with their thing, then we'll be like, oh man, I wish it was like this. You know, we'll fall into that trap easily. But it's still fun to think about. You know, if they did a Tinker with a tank spec, it would be kind of a range tank where they would be pet tanking and they were support. Pet tanking, I don't see that happening. Period. The pet would need to have the same kind of nuance and control as a normal tank. And if they don't, then no one's going to want that class to tank for. Ever. It would be the worst. It's like, hey, tank, move the boss over here. And then they're like, okay. So they got to use their targeting reticle and have them move to the new, and have the pet move to the new location. No way. So I don't think having like a third party, you know, thing locator, I don't think that would work very well. Like, you can fat finger your stutter step a little bit, but if you fat finger like you know, your move pet to whatever thing, that's fucked. You're just doomed. And oh, my bad. Go woof woof. Woof woof. No matter how hype you make, Tinker Bees will fall into the same trap as every other filled spec. It will be huge for one season. Blizzard will come out saying too many people are playing Tinker, and other specs are not being shown. Well, I think the thing was that I don't think that was the case for Evokers though, right? I thought Evokers worked out like kind of okay. When they released Og, that's when everything just hit the fan. Because it's like it's a whole ass spec / roll, you know. That was very new. But I think otherwise, you know, having the new class eventually fold into the seesaw balance thing, I don't think it's been that bad. I guess the best perspective to come from though would be people who like really play those classes, or like they main those classes. They'll be able to give much better, you know, much better takes than I can. think Blizzard messed up on augmentation. I think it should have been a male tank. I kind of agree. Um, it could have been that. The whole thing with support, the idea of support, I think that should be a tank role. Something to include for the tank toolkit to make tanks feel like they're doing more than just staying alive and making sacrifices to make it feel like their DPS is like doing more. So like, like what if there was something where a warrior tank would like do a shout every now and then that gives like a nice DPS buff, and then they get the credit for it, so they're rewarded for like good timing on cooldowns that help the group deal more damage or something like that, or some sort of equivalent for the other ones, Death Knights and Druids and Paladins and what have you. I think that would have been cool. I remember I was thinking of like a brief concept of an evoker tank as a magic tank, one that actually used intelligence, and their stats would feel different and all that stuff, but largely it would be like them having like some sort of like magic shield, and that's that acts as their mitigation, and it otherwise works similarly to any other tank, just different. They would have like some cool gimmick to them. I don't know. But I'll tell you this too. Augmentation as a tank, it would, in the grand scheme of things, it wouldn't change some of today's concerns about, oh my god, there's not enough tanks. Oh my god, like, the tank responsibility in keys and what have you. The anxiety that tanks face, and the pressure that's on them to perform well, because they typically get a lot of the blame for problems. That wouldn't change. I think there's like other things need to happen in order to like kind of improve on like the tank or healer shortage. It would just be another tank that we'd have. I fully trust in that take. And we're going back. So that's why I talk about having support stuff be given to tanks, because it's like, oh, maybe it'll make tanking feel more fun too. Maybe we should remove the tank role. That's pretty controversial. I've heard that a number of times. I'm not a fan of it because I like the idea of tanking. Right? I don't want to be Rhett and just do more threat than everyone else. To me, that's dull. Like, if they take away the tanking role, period, I would struggle to play this game. Because I like, the sword and board. I like being able to hold threat, pop defensives, use support abilities on my buddies. So I agree with, but would that make certain tanks become a more support class? Yes. Well, I mean, I think there should be like this kind of balance between them. But I think adding support things to all the tanks would help. But even now there are tanks that are more supporty than others. I would say that Paladins are the support tank at the moment, because I'm gonna give an opinion. I think they have the most abilities that can provide external buffs and benefits to the rest of the team. Yeah, tank utility, which is very closely in line with support. I think that's cool. I think there's like there's some good differentiation between the different tanks as to like how all that works. One tank can do things that other tanks cannot, and vice versa. But I think like overall, from like a day-to-day rotational ability standpoint, I think there could be like something to add in there that makes each of the tanks feel like they play a bit more of a support role. It's like, oh, they can spec and have like something, a stronger kind of defensive that it's not just a 2-minute pop. It's more like a 30 seconds. Okay, cool. Here's like some incoming stuff. Let me pop this or something. It could be a defensive thing. It could be a healing thing. It could be an absorb. It could be something else. I don't know. Tank for years and stuff when Mythic Plus came out, and the idea of leading and cooperation in dungeons moved toward the go 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 mentality. I mean, that's the kind of sucky thing about Mythic Plus in general, is because, like, that's what it is. Like, because you're on the timer. But at the same time, how do you measure progression if not with a timer? I don't know. People say death counter. I don't really buy into that. It's a silly idea, to be honest. Does 1 in every 5 players want to play tank? Maybe in dungeons, tank should be optional. I mean, we have that. That's why we have delves. You know, those are role agnostic. You don't need to have a tank for that. It helps, but you don't need it. But of course, Brand can be the tank too, if you wanted to. If they stop insisting healers do great damage, well, I think that's a consequence of just wanting to give all classes a fairly complete toolkit. You know, seeking to do that has, like, you know, that's got consequences too. Oh shit, that hurt. Oh, and I died. I couldn't heal fast enough. That's what I get. Many of the problems in WoW are social. Period. Many of the problems that we face are like social things, pressure from players, smack talk. We can make claims that there's a lack of moderation and enforcement of policies that you know, to help protect players from feeling like they're from feeling shitty. Like, players can feel bad about their performance, but do we really need it to be do we really need someone like yelling at us and doing it too? To a certain extent, it happens, but is it necessary? I think it's just mostly social, you know, and there needs to be more and better social solutions to it. You made 35k yesterday. You bought Vicious Bloodstones and just resold them. Damn, it's not bad. Let's see how much are Vicious Bloodstones right now. Vicious Bloodstones going for 5.8k. Pretty steady prices too. So, guess they go fast, huh? And I only looked a little bit. Like, the only thing that they seem to be used for is those socket things too, right? That's crazy. I think where Mythic Plus is now, the go works is you get to higher keys, but you have that mentality starting in low key level dungeons, and it never stops. When do people really get to learn and understand the role, and when they can do what their full kit without the community just crapping on them all day? I think there's... I feel like players give themselves like certain expectations. It's like, I'm making up a profile. I'm making up a player profile here. I have a life. I have a job and kids and blah, blah, blah. I only have so much time to play. I'm trying to push keys and I'm not able to climb as fast as I want to. I'm getting mad. You know, and I'm stuck in like this go mentality but I'm not doing well enough. It's high pressure and so on and so forth. Now, let's take that and then remind ourselves like how this particular season is going. I'm of the opinion, or at least I've been making the observations that season 2 has been doing better than season 1. I can feel pretty confident in saying that. Gearing is faster. Gearing is quite a bit faster. And pretty soon we're going to lift the crest cap. We're going to get this final, I keep saying final surge like it's a freaking trading post thing. We're going to get the turbo boost thing happening. That's going to just give us more gear, and that will let people climb higher, aspire to do greater things than they could before. You know, with that sort of pacing in mind, you know, I'm of the mindset of like if I happen to not be in a guild, and the way that I am, I'm gonna want to play it as safe as I can when it comes to progressing from one key to the next. So my mindset would be like, I'm just gonna keep slamming like nothing but twos in a given week, just so I can like start mastering or getting used to the basics of the dungeon mechanics. Okay, so there's that pack, that pack, that pack, and I would need to, you know, Mythic Plus is high level gameplay, so I'm gonna need to start paying attention, even without add-ons or any or count whatever's routes, whatever. I need to start like kind of remembering, okay, this is what this pack feels like as a tank. These are the things that happen, and how I want to handle it. And then this is the count that it gives me relative to everything else. And I need to go back after the dungeon is over and kind of start mapping things out for myself. Okay, so maybe this route's the best thing. That's what tanks do. That's the role. And it's unfortunate that it feels like, oh my god, this is so much more responsibility and study work in order to do good, but that's the role too. And to a certain extent, that's kind of what DPS are going to observe too. It's like, okay, here's what the tank is doing. They're going this way, they're going this way. Okay, this is different. Let me try to learn and figure out how this works. You know, I'm making it sound like, oh, that's all you got to do. And it's not that simple. It's not simple. It's not a fast process. But that's the game. But I don't play that. I don't play it like that anyway. Like I just oh shit! That reminds me. I need to tell the guild. I'm doing keys today. Where's my guild? So like here's how I do keys. Build. We're doing keys today. Usual time. 10 p.m. server. Reply to hit my emote to sign up. And then I use the Tay emote. Dun, dun, dun. So this is how I do keys. Yeah, I'll just do that, and then people sign up, and then I choose like the most familiar group that I've got, and then off we go. Tough stuff. Otterhead. Ooh, damn, Otterhead hooking it up. Thank you, dude. Solid. Pico, what's up, dude? Long time no talk as well. I missed a lot of chat, so let me get caught up. Bloodstones for soccer things, okay. By the way, Beers, I love watching your videos. First time joining you here. Happy. Hey, thank you. Thank you, Light Bright. Cool name. They're only on there for 4 minutes. Wow, that's pretty good. 2,500 honor and sockets take 3 and another 5k honor to buy, so they get pricey at the end of the season. They get cheap. Oh, okay. S2 is doing better only because the 3k is score push. We're going from 10s to 12s or to 13s is taking more time. All right, cool. I'm caught up. Yay! All right, see you later, Peter. All right, so we'll see if I do keys tonight. I usually say stuff like that the evening before, but I like totally forgot. My bad. All right, so one more set of BGs on this one, and then at the same time we'll see what happens in the next 6 minutes. Come on, patch. So you're saying season 2 is only doing better only because 3K score? I don't want to say only. Do you feel that strongly that it's only because of the 3K reward? I think it helps giving people like a, that next stretch to work towards. But I do wonder as well, like what are the numbers on that? Like how many people are hitting 3K so far? We're a little bit a third ways through the season. It's gonna get better in a couple of weeks with the turbo boost stuff. And then who knows what's going to happen with 11.17. They might give us another MacGuffin. So. There are a lot of people getting 3K. Well, I'm wondering what the numbers are, It sounds like social media is telling me, oh, there's a lot of people getting 3K, but then it's the same people that I see all the time anyway. Yeah, like there's a dude who has no one's going for it. There's a dude who regularly posts like Mythic Plus participation numbers and stuff, and they'll post them somewhere. I think he usually posts them on Reddit. Last season of our 25 raiders, maybe 6 or over 2,500. This season, almost all of us are over 3K. I mean, it's definitely an easier season. It's a not easier. It's a more accessible season. But I'm also wondering about like the dungeon, the dungeon selections, the pull by pull. Like I think people have just been responding a lot better. So it's not only, hey, I'm able to get farther, but also, hey, these dungeons, like it just feels more fun. Is that kind of true too? 44,000 characters have 3K. So if we say that, maybe a fifth of them are doing like are like have like multiple characters, that's still pretty good. I noticed that too. They were very responsive about like nerfing stuff and just making things more accessible and just leaving the difficulty to like the higher levels. Because like the meta still exists. It's just like at what point does it matter? And it's when you start going into like past 12s and people are playing like the competitive game. That's where you're seeing it. And that's been good. I think that's been a good thing that they've been pushing towards. You gonna help, dude? Can't do it by myself. I got one, sort of. I mean, it's Beastmaster, so it's like, how hard is this? Too, right? Rawr. Go team. Dungeons flow is trash this season. So many times you have boss which requires your healer to squeeze all the cooldowns, and right after you get trash doing the same. It's like constant rotation of defenses required from the entire group. At what level? I'm curious. What level are you playing at, Stoke? Because more and more I'm like out of touch with the Mythic Plus scene. Because like they'll be like, oh, I do average keys. I do like 11s and 12s. I'm like, oh, okay. Meanwhile, tonight, if we do when we do keys, I'll be like, so like 6s and 7s, right? And then we're like struggling and all that. So yeah. So do they have a term yet? Has Mythic Plus World thought up a term to describe like the past 12s? Once you hit 12s, you get a certain status. Have you given yourselves a name yet? I'm not trying to talk shit. I'm just curious if they If there's a term for it. Is there lingo? For resilience. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. Resilient key. Okay, I get it. For comparison, about 20,000 characters got 3K last season, and that's the end of the season. You play Holy? Oh, is Holy struggling right now? Or is it like, yeah. All right, 10 o'clock and no news yet. Okay, so let's see. Let's check socials. Come on, something. Oh, there it is. Sweet. We get a first look at Combat Assistant in patch 11.1.7. They're coming out with a boss mod. Oh boy. Oh my god, this is so long. Holy shit. This is a 43-minute video. Damn. Okay, we're gonna be here for a while, buddies. Holy shit. Okay. Well, I'll just let it start running now, and then I'll figure things out as we go. Let's go.
Welcome to a special edition of WoWcast, where we're going to talk about a patch 11.1.7 feature, and then a broader discussion about add-ons in World of Warcraft in general. I'm Dratnos, World of Warcraft content creator.
I'm Max. I'm the raid leader of Team Liquid, the WoW Guild, and a content creator as well.
And I'm Ian Hazikostas, game director on WoW, and it's a pleasure to be here with you guys.
Very excited to be here. So what are we doing in 11.1.7?
A whole bunch of fun stuff, but one of the features that we're extra excited about is a new UI option that we're adding called Rotation Assist, which is really designed to help players who are maybe picking up a new spec or want some guidance on what abilities they should be using when, without having to turn to third-party add-ons for it. So we've seen that, there's an add-on called Hekili that is very popular with a lot of players. We're basically building in a very similar version of that into the base UI that you can opt into. That will, no matter what DPS spec you're playing, highlight the recommended next ability given your current energy, what's going on around you, and so forth. One extra thing that we're also going to do, which maybe goes a bit beyond what the add-ons can do, is also have a one-button version of that, where there'll be like a keybind that if you just want almost an auto rotation, you can opt into that, and it will just automatically cast the next recommended ability in the sequence. There'll be a small GCD penalty associated with that, but we want to make sure that this is for accessibility purposes, that it's there for people who maybe just honestly aren't interested in the gameplay of like mastering their spec. They want to explore Azeroth and experience the story, and the mechanics kind of get in the way of that sometimes. This should be for them. Ideally, this is not a tool where someone is like being told by their raid leader to stop trying to DPS manually and just turn on the one button mode to meet some DPS check. That we want to give you the tools to kind of go through that organic progression naturally.
Great.
But so the rotation assist doesn't come with a penalty or anything like that. That's just we're going to show you what your next button is.
Exactly.
Right.
It's very similar to the Hekili add-on. It's kind of reflecting, just the latest kind of established theory crafting, and it's something that we would continue to update, with spec changes and class changes over time. Ideally, it all's born out of the idea that we've seen a valuable tool that players feel like they should be looking outside the game to download, and we'd rather just reduce the barriers to that and make it available to everyone.
Okay, yeah, because there's two parts of it, right? Like the advanced is, I want to really go into this, is the one button thing, but that's not necessarily everyone that's going to use this. Like I think this game, especially new players getting into it, there's a lot going on within a particular class, and you can be a little lost trying to figure out exactly what I should be pressing. So even just using it as like as a guide to start learning your class and move off of it eventually, but just having a base understanding of what actually should I be doing at a base level of this.
I wonder if it works
that's really exactly the motivation
too.
On our end. I mean, especially with warbands and War Within, we see lots and lots more alts, and leveling is pretty quick. You got a bunch of Warbound until equipped gear that you're passing over to a new character, and just jumping into their full rotation. We've never played the spec seriously before, can be a pretty serious undertaking. And for some people, this may be enough for them, and that's fine too. But we recognize that there's so much, WoW has such a high skill ceiling that just recommending what the next ability isn't going to really remove that or fully solve that. There's still the muscle memory that you need to form, and then all of the nuances of like, we might have a recommendation for a rotation that makes sense if you're fighting a target dummy, you're fighting patchwork, but when you need to plan around the fact that you're gonna have to move in 4 seconds, that's a whole different like layer of skill that still rests with players.
It's training wheels.
Yeah, I know when I'm trying to
I think that's
play
really cool.
a new spec for the first time or haven't played it in years, it often feels like I've got like a 30-minute checklist of, okay, I got to set up my keybinds, got to make sure, oh, this ability's changed since 2 expansions ago, I got to rebind that, and then I got to go and read some guides and figure out how all my new rotation works, and oh, here's how the new set bonus works. So I could see it being really nice to just have this is a way to jump into some content to do with your friends and have it work out nice and easily. One thing that jumps out to me is that a lot of the content I'd want to do would be like delves or keys. And in either of those cases, there's a lot of AoE.
Yeah.
Is this going to have are we going to detect whether we're fighting 3 targets, 5 targets, and is it going to cast my Arcane Explosion instead of my Arcane Blast, or is it just always going to be a single target?
It's not just single target.
Right.
There is some sense of how many enemies are within your range, in front of you, etc. And so that will affect the recommendations. Again, the goal is not optimal. The goal is not like this is gonna, okay, everyone's always gonna get perfect parses and so forth going forward. But as a baseline, this should be, it should be useful the same way that many, many people find Hikila useful today. And it really, like a lot of this, building on the foundations of the cooldown manager that just came out in 11.1.5, kind of reflects us hearing people in the community telling us that they feel like they need to seek out these third-party resources just to play the game at like a baseline effective level in competitive content. And us asking, like, is that where we want the game to be in the long term, and what can we do to build in native solutions to many of these problems?
Like the base construct of it, there is this will help you learn what you're supposed to do if you are new. And then there is hey, I don't want to be the best player at this game. That's totally fine. I play it for a different reason. I want to collect things. I want to like understand the story. I want to quest. I want to level, right? And I don't want to feel like I can go into any content and I just don't really know what I'm doing. I feel anxious about that. Like you have the ability to just be like, okay, well at least Blizzard's got me. I can have something at a base level where I can press one button and just kind of hang out and play the game. I have one question about the actual rotational thing. So is that going to like change with talent? So like, let's say, is it going to work off the base talent build, or let's say you select a talent that now moves a AoE button into your single target rotation? Is it going to be smart enough or planned to be smart enough to incorporate a bunch of different potential talent builds?
The goal is that it's aware of your talents, and the logic is conditional based on what you do or don't have talented. As with, this is going to be something that continues to evolve. We may not have every single possible permutation accounted for in the version that we roll out with, but it should still be very useful in that form to everyone, and we'll just get refined from there. Similar to the cooldown manager that we know is like, that is a first take at this. We have plans to add much more customization, much more functionality to that over time as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's a really exciting feature individually. The thing that's most exciting to me is in the broader context of the cooldown manager, of all these other edit mode changes that have come out. There was a time 5 years ago in WoW where if you were just getting into the game, there was an intimidating list of these are the add-ons that you need, and if you're not using these, you're kind of worse, right? Like you're noticeably worse. If you can't track your group member's major cooldown, right? Like you're worse at Mythic Plus than somebody who is, right? And it seems like the goal that has been accomplished with a lot of these things that have been coming into the base UI is you can use those add-ons if you want, but we now have a native way to the game that you don't have to get an add-on.
That is pretty much exactly our long-term philosophical goal here, right? Like, add-ons are amazing. The things that the community has done over the last 20 years to allow people to experience different aesthetics, different functionality, have information available at their fingertips, like, that is a huge part of WoW's success, and we don't question or want to undermine that for a moment. At the same time, like as you said, ideally it is about what do you want? How do you prefer to have things presented to you? And not what do you have to do? What is a group mate or raid leader or whatever telling you must download? Or if you ask people, hey, how can I get better? I'm really struggling at this. The first answer shouldn't be, well, download this add-on, this add-on, and this add-on, otherwise you're doing it wrong. Because that's starting to get into that mandatory place, whether we like it or not. So yeah, I think, longer term, these initiatives kind of fit into part of how we're thinking about the role of add-ons in WoW. As we can probably all agree, today, there is a sense that if you want to really be the best you can, if you want to play competitive content, there are certain add-ons that are required, that are simply going to improve your success over not having them, period. We would like to get away from that being the case. And I think I'd love to see a WoW one day where you can still customize the aesthetic look of your UI, you can have information and quest helpers and all the other things that you might want to have to make your experience a bit more seamless. But that at the end of the day, when you're in competitive content, when you're queuing up for a rated PvP match, when you're going into a high key, when you're trying to get a first kill on a raid boss, there isn't the sense that you are, just holding yourself back if you're not using specific tools. We know that there's a lot of work to do to get to a place where that could be the reality. The first steps really are going to be continuing to build up the just right out of the box functionality that World of Warcraft offers to shrink that gap. But at the same time, I think we're aware that at the very end of this process, we probably are going to have to rein in some of the functionality that add-ons currently have to do like real-time in-combat problem solving specifically, where it's like automating coordination, communication in ways that are always going to be better than anything the UI could natively provide you as long as they remain possible.
Yeah, so that moves us into like raid bosses where I don't want to name any names, but there are people who have optimized a little bit of their own fun out of the game sometimes. I don't know where any of them might be sitting. They could be anywhere. They could be in this room with us.
Yeah.
Hey man, I am the number one. Let's just YOLO this. Let's just do the fight. Let's make it work. And then sometimes it gets to let's try to make something that could be 95% successful, 100 or 99, right? And there's a lot of frustration with the tech involved with that. I would definitely be. I think a lot of the rating community would be pretty for that. I think a well-designed mechanic that the game giving you enough information to solve this on your own realistically. A lot of the times the community will just use one because it's like what everyone else uses. It gets you in the same place. But if that doesn't exist and the game is giving you that information, it's objectively better, right?
And even if you are doing it very well, manually, it's always going to be better to do it perfectly in a competitive situation. I mean, having watched, your raid leading, for example, over many, many years over the Race to World First, like years ago, you would call much more stuff verbally.
Very
like
true.
going back to, Legion, BFA era, whereas nowadays it seems like if there is something you're calling repeatedly on attempts, the first thing you're doing is asking if, hey, can we automate this and get me out of the business of talking, which seems like it might be less enjoyable for you as a raid leader.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, if we're talking about that, I could talk all day about that. Yeah. No. I mean, I felt like you certainly had more of an impact when you had the ability to, influence the fight more. But the reality is just getting some way to automate it for your players is just better. It is funny. Like when I do that now, I think, what else can I be doing with my time? I could be like looking at other ways to optimize, and it's purely for the sake of getting better. So yeah, for my own enjoyment, yeah, that's sweet. Let's do that. I'm trying to wonder also about those kind of mechanics. So like what bosses have existed in my head, I think in the past couple of years, there's not many, but have been defined by when we're progressing this boss, we feel like maybe we're progressing a weak aura. Something like Brood Twister or Echo of Neltharion or Jailer maybe was one of the first ones, right? And those mechanics, I feel like could not have been done or probably would have been nerfed without weak auras or having that effectiveness of that reduced. What do you do as a fight designer now? Do you I know you're obviously like really passionate about raiding. You've raided for a really long time. What do you have to avoid those kind of assignment mechanics? Are there things in game you can use to like naturally sort out those things? Like, do you give more time for the mechanics? Like do you have to stray away from assignments in general because the community has just, whether you like it or not, has like trained themselves to have something solve that for them? Do you have to like go back into like a more simple version of that? Do you find other ways to make fights difficult? There's obviously a bunch of ways to do that.
The way we design encounters has been influenced in significant ways by the way players use add-ons. I know, the community sometimes speculates that, this was built clearly to require an add-on. I can say that's never the case. No encounter designer is ever sitting around saying, all right, we're going to make this mechanic, and then players will write this weak aura to solve it this way. All right, mission accomplished, let's ship the boss. But when we're thinking about the overall pacing of a fight, the tuning, we might get feedback on a fight that it feels like there isn't enough going on, when in actuality, there are 4 or 5 mechanics going on, but add-ons are largely compartmentalizing and making it so that most players don't have to think about them most of the time. And then players give us feedback that, hey, this fight felt a little bit slow, like I was just punching the boss for 3 minutes. And so then maybe we add another mechanic in the next iteration of that, or a similar encounter. We get to a higher overall complexity space where, there's just, you look at the dungeon journal and you're scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and maybe half of it doesn't even matter because add-ons are going to handle it for you. I think that's not a great place for things to land. It also definitely ties our hands in some ways. Like, I think we do fewer coordination mechanics than we used to. Like, there used to be, like, if you look at old school WoW days, there were encounters where, like, the primary challenge for your raid was by design coordinating some rotation. And the execution beyond that wasn't super complicated, but making sure that this thing stayed soaked, or that you were rotating people through with their debuff or whatever, that became a big part of the fight's challenge. Now we know ultimately that that can never be the thing that we lean on for challenge, because it's going to be solved, and it's not going to be solved through what we think of as the more just interesting MMOE, like communication, cooperation, figuring out systems for having these things work in a way that feels collaborative. It's going to be downloading the weak aura pack, setting it up appropriately, maybe having 3 or 4 frustrating wipes because there was a typo in the configuration, which is that's not what I think anyone really wants raiding to be. And so we move away from making those mechanics as much, and lean more on things that add-ons can't solve for you, like moving out of a swirly under your feet with only a little bit of time to respond. I don't think it's a coincidence that more and more of our fights have those sorts of just twitch reaction, avoidance mechanics, whereas that used to be one type of fight that we did. The design space is definitely constrained by the knowledge that, if we lean on it too heavily, it's just going to get trivialized.
Some of my favorite WoW raid boss memories are bosses like Mythic Unat, Mythic Anduin. You have to spread out and then you get these marks and you have to go to the right places. And there used to be definitely a library of mechanics like that, where you would get them and then you'd have to think, and you'd have to have a system, and you'd have to have 20 players sort of coordinate and become one team that does a mechanic like that. And the fact now that add-ons take on much of that job of coordinating us.
A lot of this is the philosophy.
Almost all the Mythic Raiders I know would be delighted
Not
to
a feature thing.
move back to a world where we did that in our brains, right? But in Dragonflight, we saw a little bit of an attempt to make that happen, right, with the private aura system. And what ended up happening was we still had the weak aura, but now we also have a macro that we need to press, and then the weak aura will assign us the same thing. So I'm a little bit worried. How's the arms race between the weak aura devs trying to come up with a new way around the restriction that you're putting in? Is this just a further escalation in that?
Hopefully not. I think our goal here is kind of disarmament and definitely not further escalation. I think we understand that if we're not going to try more little targeted things like that are going to encourage workarounds, and it just ends up with this back and forth. Because if there is a way to solve a complex mechanic, but you have to jump through a couple of more hoops to do so, you'll do that, and then just be more annoyed by the process. Our goal is to try to get out of that space entirely, and so I think down the line eventually,
that may mean I think,
some broader restrictions on specifically what information add-ons have access to about combat events in real time. At the same time, we know that that's not a thing that we could just do right now without providing a lot more on our end, both in terms of just UI type functionality, but also looking at how we're designing some encounters, how some of our classes work. I think there are tons of add-ons that are healthy and valuable and really important to how players play the game that do rely on that flow of information. Everything from something as simple as damage meters to honestly boss time, ability timelines, the DBM style, when is this next ability going to fire, that people have basically been raiding with forever. That's not the computational weak auras. That's just, hey, this ability is going to happen in 15 seconds. We want to build in our own version of that.
That'd be cool.
I think down the line, we'd love to see a place where there is a boss timeline as just part of the encounter UI, and that's not something you need an add-on for. And that way, we can hopefully eventually get to a point where we're really just cutting out the weak aura that solves the mechanic for you, but not the informational stuff that you feel it really feels like the game should have been telling you all along, where add-ons are, admittedly, kind of filling in some gaps there.
Okay, so coming in 11.1.7, we're going to have the rotation helper, those two options. What of the rest of this initiative, is any of the rest of this in 11.1.7, or are we just starting the conversation now?
I think there's a lot of stuff that we're working on. I think, we've seen the cooldown manager and then the rotation assist coming. I think down the line, it's some of the stuff that I touched on. I don't have specific patch dates right now, but we are looking at damage meters. We're looking at nameplate improvements. We are looking at, a raid encounter, information presentation that shows you timeline of boss abilities coming up. Things in that general space. You know, I think we're looking at all the places where players say right now, you need this weak aura, you need this add-on to, you know, be competitive, and asking ourselves, like, how do we change our game to make that not the case? And some of that's going to be add-on functionality, or UI functionality. Other aspects are going to be looking at how we're building some encounters or how some class mechanics work. Like, I think it's super fair to, you know, point at some specs, like let's say Outlaw Rogue, who I know are, you know, easy one to pick on in some of these ways, and ask, like, how is anyone really supposed to execute this perfectly with the base UI? Almost any time we're tracking like stacks of a buff, and you need to make a decision where it's like, if you're between 4 and 7 stacks, you should do this, otherwise don't. Those are not reasonable tests for us to be posing to our players without providing them the information to do it correctly. And so we need to either provide the information, simplify the mechanic, or both.
There are a lot of players who love the version of Outlaw Rogue that has existed over the past few years. So I think there's always some fear when this discussion starts up of, is the answer going to be to simplify everything? And I think it's really exciting to hear instead that the answer is, okay, we'll maybe simplify some of these huge outliers, but we're going to bring in the functionality that makes it so that instead of needing to download a weak aura to solve this, right, instead of needing to have a complicated assistant tell you, now you're supposed to press this button, now you're supposed to press this button, instead we're going to provide that information in a more clear way than looking at the top right of your screen to see your buffs and trying to catch the rotation buff between all the other 20 that are changing in combat.
That's definitely the goal. You know, I think we want World of Warcraft to be as approachable as possible, but we also love that the skill ceiling in the game is as incredibly high as it is. That allows for tons of differentiation and self-expression and accomplishment. But I think, you know, a lot of, at its core, a lot of skill in WoW, I think, boils down to multitasking ability. And like even just, you know, you might be able to do amazing damage just testing it against a target dummy. Very different world when you're also in an encounter and need to do 3 mechanics at the same time. And we see, you know, tunnel visioning DPS are a meme for a reason, right? They're just focused on their rotation and whoops, they just messed up the encounter mechanic, or vice versa. Someone who is good at mechanics, but their DPS goes off a cliff. Really, like, the function of a lot of these add-ons is to offload a portion of that computational complexity. And we recognize, like, if we are removing some of that functionality, we're providing more information, we can probably remove a couple of mechanics, but still keep the same level of challenge. The goal is not to make it easier. The goal is to make it less complex. And I think that's, you know, I think is a key distinction there, because I think it often can sound like, oh, this is about, you know, this might be about dumbing down the game or simplifying things. It's not that. It's about trying to create a more approachable baseline experience that still has every bit as much room for differentiation.
When you were talking about add-ons that things have been in the game, been inspired by it, you mentioned a damage meter.
Yeah.
So I'm really interested in just what your view is, philosophy-wise, about damage meters in games like this.
That's a great question, and I think ultimately we have to be guided by what our community prefers and what we see them doing today. The single most popular add-on used across the entire game is a damage meter by like a fair margin.
Okay.
The majority of players, the large majority of players, have a damage meter add-on installed, and so that indicates that people want to see that information at least about themselves. We definitely want more nuanced measures of success and understanding, like how successful were you or how much did you contribute on this run, highlighting things like interrupts, highlighting things like avoidable damage to give a fuller picture of performance. But at the end of the day, you know, I think for someone who's trying a new spec, trying a new talent build, getting a new trinket, and they want to see like how did this affect my performance compared to the last run, that's an important piece of information to have. And so I think, you know, we know that in any world where we were going to limit some of the ability of add-ons to, like, again, do that real-time combat event tracking, we would need to provide a damage meter solution of our own. And I think one of the exciting things, I think, if we're doing that on our end, we can also have it be server authoritative, so you're not worried about like who's in a different combat phase, who's out of range, or whatever. Yeah. It could just be like, this is official and going to be accurate all the time.
We were obviously mostly thinking about Mythic Raid when our brains go to how this is going to affect things, but the overwhelming majority of players are in, you know, heroic raids, normal raids, raid finder raids, doing Mythic Plus dungeons, right? When we're talking about making these changes to what weak auras can do, is there an appetite for changing how heroic and normal raids function as well? Like, do we see these problems in there as well for what add-ons can do and how they solve things?
Absolutely. I mean, I think it all trickles down, right? I mean, I think maybe even more, a larger percentage of players doing Mythic Raid might use specific weak aura packs than, let's say, normal. But those add-ons are used by the majority of players right now, and certainly other, boss mods are as well. And I think a lot of it just comes down to, what are the coordination challenges that we're presenting? If there's something that everyone is relying on a tool right now to assist with, we would have to change it to still keep it the same level of challenging, but without that same automation assistance. And that can take many forms. It can be there's one or two fewer things to soak. You have an extra couple of seconds to actually spread out on the fly. It's a pretty common mechanic of all right, 3 people get a debuff and they just have to run out in different directions from each other. People have been just kind of playing the game and doing those for years and years. But of course, if you can if the time you're given to react is so tight that you can't afford to do that, then people do gravitate towards, all right, we're going to put diamond, circle, and triangle on the ground. Everyone's going to get an auto-assigned marker, and you just know, I'm going to run to my marker to guarantee that it's executed correctly. I think it's a bit more interesting if we give you a couple of seconds so that you can look around and make sure you're not running in the same direction, and then do the exact same thing. I mean, at the end of the day, raiding in particular, but group PvE, group PvP too. In an MMO, a huge portion of, I think, the fun of it is just coordination, communication, feeling like everyone's working together to overcome some challenge in front of them. And I think getting back into a space where there's room for more of that organic collaboration, as opposed to it just being regimented and solved by an external tool, I think will open up a lot of design avenues for the game going forward.
Throughout the last couple years, especially in Mythic Plus, that had been ramping in complexity, you've seen, and actually even if you can go back, you can see the amount of things that people have in their UI to help them know that something's happening. So back in Power Auras, it was, there was just some giant, some giant face on your screen would pop up, and that meant that something procced. And then it's gotten more, refined. And now, even in the last, it's been ramping the past couple of years. You see you listen to someone's POV who's doing High Mythic Plus right now. You're going to hear AoE, dodge, frontal, circle. Yep. It's just every bit of audio aid they've used to, it's in the idea of being optimal. It's not required. And especially this patch, I think Mythic Plus complexity has actually gone down as an intentional design point, it seems at least. I think you might have made a post about that. So that stuff is less required, but people have kind of already baked on the UI. Is that something that you're looking to either have an ability to have that in the game, or is that something you don't want to have happen, where it's more you're organically doing mechanics because you see them, or are you okay with all of the audio and visual aids that exist currently within add-ons?
I think the answer is mixed there. I think audio prompts are something that are super valuable to people. That's something we want to continue to add support for on our end as well. We know feedback we've gotten around the 11.1.5 cooldown manager would be that many people would appreciate being able to have audio prompts tied to certain things or procs firing, and that's something they would miss about weak auras. We want to make sure that we're offering that kind of thing as well. Beyond that, I think a lot of what we've seen is, frankly, us not doing a sufficiently good job of telegraphing the importance of certain mechanics and their impact, and players needing to come up with solutions for them externally. Ideally, there's a concept we call affordance, which is basically just how well is something telegraphed? How intuitive is it with visual presentation? And ideally, the affordance of a mechanic should match its impact. And sometimes, if you have a random mob in a dungeon pack that has a frontal that will just delete you if you're not getting out of the way of it, and it's just one thing going on among a half dozen other things, why? And why? How could we call that out better? With visuals, with a longer cast time, with how we're creating the pack in the first place. And that's just one example of one of the areas in which we know we can do better. Something else we've talked about on the UI front is we would want the ability to, on our end, flag mob casts in Mythic Plus as lethal, as this should be a high priority interrupt, because we know players are going to basically look to solve that anyway. If there are 3 casters in a pack, and 2 of them, it's actually kind of okay to let them free cast, but one of them, if they ever get a cast off, you're probably going to wipe. They shouldn't all just look indistinguishable on your screen, and us expect you to figure that out on your own.
They did that in season 1, right? Wasn't there a couple casts or super giga you die death volley or something?
Yeah.
And they had this big animation.
The Arcara casters where they hunker down, there's green glowy stuff around them, and they're casting a volley, and you're all right.
You'd be playing WoW for 2 days, and you're like, that can't happen. Yes.
But I'm looking forward to an M+ then, where if we're talking about maybe taking away my ability to air horn myself on a certain cast, something like that, if instead I have to be now looking at a mob and there is a sort of a visual language that I can come to expect. Like, if the mob is hunkering down and it's got particle effects around it, that means I got to kick it. I think that would be more fun for everybody as well, rather than having the air horns be the solution.
Definitely.
That is entirely our hope, right? I think, and to be super clear, I think we see the taking away part, the restricting functionality, as the end of this long road. I think we know, we want to make it very clear, we're not sitting here being like, all right, we want you to play the game the way we intended, and we're going to take away your tools. We just want to bridge that gap. And we have a lot of work to do on our end to keep building up more improvements, more functionality. And it's not just the UI. The VFX changes that you mentioned are a part of that overall effort of us asking, what are the places where players feel like they need add-ons to succeed? Why is that the case? And when it's like, it's not clear when you're standing in something, and so I need, GTFO or some other, sound effect to let me know that I'm standing in something lethal, it should be obvious. Let's fix that on our end. And we know we want to keep chipping away at those things and hopefully eventually get to a point where really the only difference between what we are offering and what powerful add-ons can do is that small subset of like computational problem solving stuff, at which point we can move forward.
So throughout the evolution of private auras, we've seen, initially when they came out, they were like kind of, a lot of friction was involved. And then I think they were done really, really well in a couple of cases, starting in Yggdrasil, where they were a mechanic like P1 Fire Act. You had the circles you had to quickly spread out for. They were pretty fast, but they were too fast to use a macro for it. And it basically forced the players into something they would have used a weak aura for, to just do the mechanic normally. And like, are there lessons you've learned there of like, this is actually how we can design mechanics or kind of assignment things going forward? And then also, is this, if done successfully, would this also remove private auras as what would have been, I guess, kind of a temporary solution to the weak aura problem?
Yeah, we've definitely learned a lot from how private auras have rolled out. Certainly we understand that if we're ever using it on something that like is on a long enough time frame that macros are going to let you solve it and it's punishing enough to not solve it, all we're doing is creating an extra annoying hoop to jump through, and we like hotfixed off the private aura designation from some of those back in Yggdrasil, and we've let that shape how and where we use or don't use it going forward. And so yeah, I think examples like the Furak mechanic that you mentioned are ones where like when we know that everyone is in a level playing field, everyone just has to play the game, play the mechanic. We can tune it accordingly so that it's hard but doable. We'd like to be able to do more of that for sure.
Yeah, I see the Fyrak first intermission, which was a private aura and then had to get hotfixed off of the private aura, as sort of a cautionary tale for if there's a mechanic that is only doable with the weak aura assignments, and then we take away that without giving an adequate replacement, then it's worse than doing nothing at all. What would a mechanic like that look like in a world where we don't have a computational solution to it, right? Would it be slower and fewer sets of like lower damage numbers on these things?
I think probably a bit of all of that. There's multiple knobs there. There's, on Mythic we might default to like everyone in today's world, everyone in the raid has to participate in this, and there's enough things to be soaked that if anyone isn't doing it, it's not going to work out. Versus maybe shifting to a world where there's a little bit more slush, things are a little bit slower, there's a little bit more time to react, to get into place organically based on which buff you were assigned, stuff like that. But at the end of the day, our goal here is to preserve challenge, and we know that we'd have to design encounters differently in some cases to deliver roughly the same level of challenge in terms of how many pull counts it takes, just what progression looks like, while living in a different mechanical world. And I know that when we talk about restricting any kind of add-on functionality, many players very rightly, kind of reflexively say or ask, well, how am I supposed to do this boss in this tier without my weak aura? That would be impossible. And the reality is, if you couldn't use that weak aura, that mechanic would be designed or tuned differently. We would have ended up nerfing it right away or designing it differently over the course of even just PTR testing. And so that's like any future design in this space will have to be built from the ground up with that in mind. And I think it's making it a little bit more forgiving in a way that makes the challenge human rather than superhuman, as it often is when we're looking at like cutting edge mythic tuned things. Because you guys are really good at the game, as it turns out, and we want to make a boss that is going to pose a challenge and is going to take you dozens of attempts, let alone 100 plus to beat. we do have to take into account the fact that not just you, but every Mythic raid guild that's going to follow in your footsteps are going to be using these tools. And at the end of the day, I think players do want challenging bosses. That if, we just tuned the boss around none of those things, players used all those tools, and they went in and like a late Mythic boss was dying in a single night for like, a cutting edge guild, rank 500 or whatever, that probably doesn't match what they're looking to get out of Mythic raiding. In my estimation. And so like our goal is to keep the same overall level of challenge while paring down the complexity a little bit.
Even if you look at the history of bosses this would have affected, you actually, even looking at Mythic Plus, something where the complexity has gone down from pack to pack in this patch, but the reality is you can still find challenge in it because it's infinitely scaling, and you will get to a point where it's doing too much damage to you, or the amount of damage you need to do is too high. There's been Mythic bosses that have been simple mechanically, but have been unbelievably difficult. And that's been true all the way down the guild ranks. It's not something that's just nerfed by gear. Like Sludge Fist, Kaiveza, where you've created really intricate problems to solve where weak auras basically didn't matter. Halandris, you actually put a bomb timer very clearly in the game around the bomb. You did not need a weak aura for one of the hardest bosses ever, right? It's more just basically the solution for these weak auras has been just a very specific kind of assignment mechanic that is just like, oh, it's just so much easier to do this, right? You could build in a lot of that computational stuff in game to where even if weak auras existed, you would find people just being like, I don't know, the game just kind of does it. We have players that don't use audio sounds in weak aura packs because on bosses like Skarn, on most other bosses, there's like either an in-game sound for when the bombs are actually activating or a voice line. We have 2 players in our guild that use very minimal weak auras, and they literally listen to voice lines for when mechanics are going to happen, and it's extremely accurate, right? So I think a lot of these things are already built into the baseline game. It's just about choosing like when and how to apply them.
Absolutely. And yeah, I think your example, going back to Nathri of Sludge Fist, I think is a great one, right? Like a lot of that was just practice and just learning like how to react to these situations when chained to different partners and dodging the stuff. And people were in enough situations over enough time. They kind of develop that muscle memory, that sense of planning, and eventually your guild as a whole overcomes the challenge. Compared to, let's say, the Stone Legion generals that came after it, a couple of issues there, but like one of the central mechanics that was being solved by weak auras was like, all right, there's a whole bunch of soaks that need to be covered over the course of the fight, and it's not realistic to have that like 7 to 8 soaks up simultaneously, where you need to also account for like, well, this person just got targeted by different mechanics, so they need a backup to go in and do it for them.
Yeah, so it sounds initially like it's, we're restricting what add-ons can do, but really we're opening up the universe of mechanics that can exist in a WoW boss without, because there are so many that you could think of right now where all of them would be, this is going to get solved by this, right? This is going to get solved by this, but if that's not the answer, then now the designers have all these tools back, and we can get these mechanics that maybe haven't been used since MOP because we've been weak auring them ever since, and now we get to solve them with our brains again.
And he even mentioned too, he said like, well, there's a lot of swirlies now.
Yeah.
Because that's the thing, like, oh, we can always default to this and a few other things because you're not going to solve that with weak aura, so we can add fights where that's not a thing. But you remove that, that friction of there's too many swirlies goes away. And I think there's assignment, like doing a lot of these assignment bosses without a weak aura that could work would be like really fun. Like it's fun to do that. It's fun when you have 5 people that need to soak something, like the last phase of Gallywix. There's a frontal on a side of a room, and 2 people die. And right now, weak aura is just like, okay, well then we're going to assign backup. So these 2 people get a big green thing on their screen, go soak that. That is something where that fight is spread out enough where you could actually communicate that. We need 2 people on the right to back up because 2 soakers are dead. Who can do it? This person says something, this person says something. Now, obviously, you're not going to have that kind of communication like heroic and normal. Maybe you won't be in comms, whatever. But in Mythic, that's perfectly reasonable, right? A lot of the things, like we could probably count, honestly, on 1, maybe 2 hands over the last like 4 or 5 years, how many bosses would you meaningfully would have to have a mechanic change. But they are very impactful, very memorable, and they have been purely defined by that. Are you worried at all about the communities? And this has certainly been ramping up over time. Like you mentioned, even for us, we were much more just do the mechanic 4 or 5 years ago than we are now. Are you worried that there has been this built-in reliance on it that might be hard to shake when creating new raid bosses?
Absolutely. And I think that some of that gets back to us knowing that we need to really ease into this, that any world where we just kind of rip the Band-Aid off and say, all right, have fun, honestly, we're in a new world, as opposed to building up more built-in functionality, starting to have clearer visuals, simplify some mechanics, and then building counters. And to have classes designed around a world where we know that this isn't possible, as long as people are set up for success, I think we'll be fine. Certainly, if we were to disable any functionality and then players went into a new tier and we're just wiping to bosses and they used to clear heroic comfortably and now they're brick walled halfway through heroic, yeah, players that would be a source of tremendous frustration. But we know that we need to avoid that by any means possible, and we have a lot of work to do before we get there.
Something that really encourages me is the ping system. That seems like such a perfect way to give us an option to identify where we're going, right? You can just ping where you're going, and then you don't have to try and communicate with words. Hey, I'm going to move over to the left 20 yards, right? I just ping where I'm going, and that opens up an ability to solve these, again, in a YOLO style, right, rather than an assignment.
I think your guild did that.
Yeah.
So the Echo of Neltharion, right?
Yeah, we just pinged it.
Yeah, so famously, everyone had the maps for that. Here's your exact spot you go, and then his guild was like, you know what, everyone just ping your spot. Mostly it gets covered. People go to the same spot every pull. But if you see 2 pings in a spot, one person has to move, right? And that could largely solve a mechanic with just something that's already built into the game.
Yeah, I think and the ping system is something we've also talked about looking to improve and to kind of broaden the sorts of things you can do with it to give people more tools to solve these problems in a coordinated way, but using their own skill and expression instead of another tool.
When I think of World of Warcraft, I'm always thinking back to when I first started playing the game, and there was this really exciting moment where I looked at it and I'm like, oh my god, I can make this game look however I want, right? I can put this here, I can have an add-on that tells me what time it is in London, what time it is in Darnassus, right? I can have all the world clocks there if I want. I can have 3 different bars at the bottom of my screen. I can do whatever I want there, and to me that's always been a strength, not a weakness of WoW. So I think there's a lot of people that disagree with me on that. But then there's also people that they hear about Blizzard thinking about restricting add-ons and they're worried about losing that. Is there any intention to go after any of that kind of customization?
Not whatsoever. And in fact, we're doing everything we can and we would do everything we can down the line to minimize any collateral damage to them. But the goal is anything that's cosmetic should be completely fair game. All informational stuff that's out of combat, again, you have RP add-ons, things that are tracking, helping with professions, tracking gathering nodes, helping you with quests.
Yeah, I don't know why people were scared of that.
A bunch of accessibility add-ons. All of those, there's nothing harmful whatsoever about any of them. The only thing is, at the very end of the day, once we feel like we've done enough on our end to improve baseline functionality, what we'd be looking at is the ability to parse real-time combat events in a way that drives, problem solving on the fly.
So it's kind of, we build the scaffolding to then be able to take away the existing weak aura solutions that we have for these. How much of this is, so the thing that's excited me also about edit mode has been, it's so clearly based on what the community has learned over 20 years, right? It's oh, the community has revolved around this as a solution for presenting this information. Let's give them that base in the UI rather than making them download something. How much of this initiative is still going to be based on what the community says, how the community reacts, versus which of these things are already kind of locked in decisions?
I'd say basically nothing here is locked in.
Okay.
Really, my hope today is to kind of begin a conversation about that direction and what areas are welcome, what areas maybe have more to do to convince the community on, and what areas we might be wrong on and should reconsider. Because I think at the end of the day, this game belongs first and foremost to our millions of players. We're trying to serve them as best we can in the long run. And I think our sense is that for many players, the feeling that they have to download and use certain add-ons in order to play the game competitively isn't really part of what's attractive about the game or healthy in the long run. And so if we can pull things back to a place where add-ons are available for those who want to use them, but people aren't feeling pressured by their groups, by just the natural demands of competition and not wanting to lose out to someone who's using more advantages, then that's going to be the healthier route in the long run.
So if I was the kind of person who wanted to write a 10-paragraph forum manifesto, this would be one of the topics to do it on, right?
Absolutely. We'll be reading, we'll be listening. I think this is a long path ahead. And yeah, just curious to kick off the conversation and hear how people feel about it. So Rotation Assist is coming in 11.1.7, which is going to be hitting the PTR in the very near future. Can't wait to hear people's feedback as they're able to hop on and check it out. We'll be listening closely so we can make it the best it can be for everybody. It's also been amazing to just get a chance to talk through kind of the history of add-ons in WoW, where they are today, and where they might be going in the future. Thank you guys for coming out. It's really been a pleasure.
Yeah, thanks so much for having us here. Really looking forward to see what the community has to say about how much they want more of these casts, maybe a month.
Boo! I'm just kidding. No, that was a really fun one. It's cool when you can get. I know, like, especially folks who might be here on this channel, like a lot of the stuff might fly over people's heads because like I don't even play at like that high of a level where I have that sort of add-on dependence, but it's still been a really loud conversation that that people have been very concerned about. So let me read through chat really quick, see what some of you guys have to say. I don't think there was too much chat scrolling here. Okay, paving way for console. Wow, that actually is kind of plausible. If they're going to continue going in that direction, something like an add-on assist. I'm sorry, like a combat assist that makes it feel like you can play WoW on console, but at the same time, because it only works at like kind of that basic level, like I don't think it's enough to. The conversation on console WoW is never going to end until one, they just say, hey, we're never going to do it, because they never say that. They always say, oh, it's there are no plans at the moment. That they've been saying that for like 20 years basically. People are never going to stop talking about that until they actually do it, and then people will be like, I told you, haha, and I was so right the entire time. Yeah. See, they changed the language from "we won't touch your add-ons" to "we're gonna have to disable." We're gonna disable some of them. So I was like taking some notes, and like at least the vibe that I'm getting from what they're trying to do, like one, this is a journey. This isn't something that's going to immediately change with the 11.17 patch or season whatever, or even like the next expansion or even the next saga. It's going to be like this kind of ongoing, it's going to be this kind of gradual philosophical change where instead of disabling add-ons and then or adding like these private auras and like, hey, let's see how players deal with it, they're just going to change the encounters. They're going to adjust them so that way it's not that they're going to be easier, they're just going to be less add-on dependent. So if there are like some coordinated mechanics that people have to deal with, instead of needing a weak aura or some sort of like sensitive tracker to make sure that everyone's is pre-assigned and goes to these spots and whatever, they might still have something like that, but instead of, ooh, you need to do it all in like 3 seconds, maybe we'll have like 5 or 7 seconds to like do that sort of coordination to give people that much more time. It may still feel as impactful. If you screw up, you're dead. But I think that's what they're trying to curb down, is that very sensitive timing between the coordination. So I think specifically, and I'm trying to, I tried to take some markers where Ian mentions this. They wanted to take a look at how certain combat events are tracked real time, and depending on the encounter, that could be like all sorts of stuff. But that's kind of the direction that they're going to go eventually. But first, they want to just kind of relieve the dependence on add-ons for that first. And once and from the sounds of it, at least once they feel like they're in a comfortable place, then they'll actually just like disable it. And then it's like, uh-oh. And we'll see how that goes. So I think it's them just kind of like, redoing encounter design, UI stuff, visuals, notifications, and stuff like that to where once they kind of get a feel and a read that players don't feel like, very sensitive combat assist add-ons aren't going to be useful, like they're not as necessary, then they can start weaning us off. That's what it feels like. In-game plater, please. Yeah, so something like that. Like when they mentioned the thing about like, hey, if you're doing Mythic Plus and you see like a bunch of mobs that are doing, and they're all doing a cast, but one is deadlier than the other, it'll identify that for you. I think that's a cool thing. Like they mentioned like using how you would use either a weak aura or a boss add-on or whatever to like blow off an air horn, and instead they would use like some sort of special animation. I'm less sold on that actually, because folks are looking at a whole bunch of stuff on screen. It's like how distinctive, does that ability need to be in order for players to be like, ooh, let's get that one, as opposed to looking for like the glowy cast bar. But I guess they're going to do that as well. So they're gonna hopefully they'll include an animation. They'll have a nice fancy schmancy deadly cast bar or something like that. So we can't have complex macros because it makes things too easy, but they are building in a one-button rotation in the base UI and make it make sense. They're talking to different players, Kalia. That's the vibe I'm getting from that. When they were talking about the combat assist, they straight up said it's a way for players to learn, and it's mostly like kind of a training tool, especially the one-button thing. If someone is just like, hey, I'm just here to like mash buttons and like chill and vibe, cool, let them do that. Is that going to get them to perform well in a raid finder? Sure. Normal? Probably. Heroic? That might be a little bit tough because there's like more stuff to worry about. Mythic? More than likely not. So I think it totally makes sense to go for that. I don't see how they consider watching an add-on tell you what to do is a high skill ceiling. I think what they're trying to talk about, Lightbright, is that they want to lessen the dependence on add-ons for what otherwise would be a high skill ceiling and just kind of change how that feels like. Where's the player housing one? I know. They keep fixing the wrong parts of the game. I love how they say it would be cool, but they just want something that tells them what to kick. Why WoW does not have built-in sounds if I stand in bad stuff? Why my character will not yell out? I think they do. I thought your character does make a sound, but it's not very loud. But the other thing too is from an accessibility standpoint, not everyone can hear as well as others. I agree where this is going. A well-designed game should not require external sources to complete it. Would like to see them go further to where I don't need to go to an ad-infested Wowhead website for anything. For anything? I'm curious what you mean by anything, because fan sites are cool. A database site like Wowhead, extremely useful. I don't know how I would feel about, opening up a thing that lets me access every item and then, where the item comes from, and then the quest that it comes from, and then a list of all the quests that are part of that chain, and then what things I get from it. Fan sites they serve a good purpose, I think. Blizz will do everything except change in the Mythic raid format. Well, I think that's a different subject altogether, though. So like when they disable add-ons eventually, what happens to classic WoW? That's probably like a 5-year 5 year from now question. Did they announce better hero talent visuals? No. Shit interview, no player housing info. I mean, they were pretty clear on what they wanted to show. They even have timestamps. So I spoiled myself to like see what was going on there. I guess it's after the last time we may see a soft reboot with no combat add-ons. That does not seem to be the case. 0%. Ian said before they're going to add 1 boss raids in the future, like Oni and Gruul. Wonder when that's going to happen. What did they say that? I don't remember that being said at all. Hey, how did he pronounce it? Hikali? I myself don't know how to pronounce that. 14 uses both visual and audio cues in the raids. They work really well for me, but it does add a different level of difficulty. But like the high-end crowd, like they also use add-ons anyway. So I don't think that's I don't think the comparison helps much because yeah, they use add-ons. It's just that they get punished if they get caught. So all the talk about replacing add-ons with baked-in UI elements is great, but they live or die on customization, and they couldn't even get the bar customization correct. I mean, they said early on, for those of us who paid attention to like the dev notes and stuff, maybe they should have just been more loud about it. They already said like, hey, what they're releasing right now is just step 1. There's going to be a lot more that they're going to do in the future, but here's what we have. Check it out, and then we all talk shit about it, and rightfully so. It really didn't add anything useful, especially because we couldn't like customize it. I think people were joking that Wowhead posted an article about an add-on that does let us customize it, and they're like, hey, come on, dude. But they're still working at that. along with everything else in the game. So I like this. As for what's coming, with the combat assist, I think that's going to be a really cool boon. I think that's going to lead to a lot more folks just trying out new classes. Maybe they'll hate it, but it'll give them a chance to like get a better look and feel of how these are. They'll start off with the one button. They'll move on to they'll eventually move on to like the combat assist, and then they'll take the training wheels off and then try things out on their own as appropriate. So I think this was cool. It was a very cool video, very long. A lot of Dratnos and Max doing their own commentary, but I think it helped to it helped to reiterate the points and make it clear and easy to understand. You just press one button. That seems to be the case. Yeah, you just press one button and then you can do like an entire basic rotation. It's definitely sounds like it's not going to be like, the optimal thing to do. I'm not going to tell people, hey, switch to the thing. If anything, I might be like, huh, this person's DPS was low or whatever. And then they might be like, yeah, because I was just using the one button thing, bro. I'm like, all right, whatever. We're just doing farm content, man. So why bother? Once we're on prog, then I'll start like turning on my brain. But I mean, it just like anything, like add-ons are, they're ultimately a choice. We choose to make the game easier and feel a little bit less complex because we use these add-ons. And if we want to do it, cool, and it's cool. I do like that they were very clear in saying that no, we're not going to attack transmog roulette. We're not going to mess with all the things. We're not going to do things that are outside of combat. We're not going to mess with that. But there's going to be this very slow process, the slow gradual process of revamping encounter design to make it not feel as dependent on add-ons, and then they're going to slowly start, and then at some point they're going to start stripping those away. Now, I'm sure the initial commentary, like some people on chat here, and I'm sure we'll see it on social media too, is that people aren't going to look at the now, they're going to look at later. Oh my God, they're going to take away my add-ons. But without knowing how that's going to happen and how that's going to translate, I guess I'm just looking forward to like other conversations about what they eventually plan on doing. But in the meantime, 11.17 isn't going to give us much. It's just going to give. Well, actually, I guess it is. For some people, it's going to feel like a bit of a game changer, and I think that the way that I'll present it, or the way that I'll kind of be like, "Ooh, this is exciting," because, and I'm going back to the whole. People who are trying out new characters, new specs or whatever, it'll give them like kind of a first go and a feel of what Blizzard's intent on how to hit the buttons, and again, use them as like training wheels to like help us get started. Yay. So eventually I'll be able to like, during a comp stomp week, for example, I'll get on these characters that I barely know how to play, jump right in, pop in a movie. 1-1-1-1-1-1-1-1-1-1. Sounds good because you're bad. Yeah, absolutely. So, I'd say but this definitely sounds like a DPS thing. Mostly, those are the people who are going to benefit most. Healers, it sounds. Is it going to be a thing? Really? Like what sort of rotation thing are we going to see? Are we going to see something where you'll see something for I don't know, disc priest on like what the recommended thing is, like, hey, you have charges, so spend the charges, and then it's going to have something right after that, so you can start blasting dudes because your atonement thing's up. So for healers, that's going to feel like complicated if they're even going to do something for healers, or maybe it's just going to be focused on healer DPS and not actual healing. I would say tanks, that feels like it would be not a challenge, but I think it wouldn't work the same way because tanks are very much like a priority thing. Like what would it be? I guess we would look to the current add-ons, to the current add-on suites, and like what do they do? Like basically keep up your active mitigation, keep generating resource, and then spend when you're full. So that would be, I guess, the logic points where you would see a tank assist button, right? Something like that. All right, so we're back to important shit. I don't know how many. Yeah, I think I still have more. Yeah, I definitely have more characters to go. Does it cheapen the game? No, I don't think so. Yeah. So, well, I guess where are you coming from with that, Ray Ray? Like, how does it cheapen the game? Because it's not like you have to use it, right? I'll be playing the game no matter what, and I'll like it. One button player housing. I mean, for the person who's only interested in, like how they talk about the person who's only interested in collecting and whatnot, cool. They can take that. Like, to me, combat is very much like the lens at which WoW is experienced. For others, they don't give a shit, right? But they want to exist in this world, so why not let them? Here's a tool that lets them do that. I think that's cool. Can we make an add-on to press the one button for me? Haha. See, we're evolving. It exists now in the add-on Mechanics X. It's not fun, but it can be useful in learning the rotation of a new spec. You talking about the one button thing, or like a tank specific thing? I wouldn't be surprised if it bleeds into class design for Midnight or Last Titan, like a water cooler talking about how to reduce complexity that will favor the rotation manager. It can, but you're still gonna have that higher skill. You're still gonna have that higher skill level. And there's still like the actual encounter design. You can have a more simple rotation, but it all changes when you get punched in the face. You know what I mean? Oh no, don't worry about Chan. He's just a troll. So, people that like the one button design disgust me. Too bad. I think it's dope. I think it's dope. If people want, if it is what helps people get interested in another class, I'm all for that. Or interested in playing. They want to play this class that they want to. They want to, we were talking earlier about like learning abilities, learning the dungeons and stuff like that. Part of it is learning your class too. And if there's a way, I mean, there already is a way through the current add-ons, ways to help you start learning. Nothing wrong with that. And then it's up to us to decide what our learning experience is going to be like. Maybe some people are going to try to just get away with constantly being dependent on that, and then they'll pay the consequences. I was talking earlier, kind of making up a scenario of how. Oh, let me back up. Warlock. I was making up a scenario of what like a solo mythic plus like thing would be for me, where I'm just going to do low level stuff as I'm learning the routes and learning about abilities and things like that. That's the way that I would do it if I would do it, but I don't. So one button design is good for little kids. Yeah, like me. Yeah, so that's cool. I think that's pretty neat. Oh no, I mean, fear, right? Fear is a thing. Yeah. Oh shit, that hurt. There's kind of a healy button that I have. I'm gonna die. Oh no. Oh no. Oh, I survived. Okay, cool. Worst case scenario, people in Raven will be one button mashers. Still, the community will regulate itself. Yeah, but the thing is, they might do better. Keep that in mind too. Like if we go, you know, talking a little bit about like low common denominator players, folks who are just like, you know, otherwise AFKing, if they can just mash one button instead of AFKing, isn't that a good thing too? I'm just talking about raid finder level stuff, but yeah, it's not bad. Yeah, that's cool. I'm gonna summarize like thoughts and reactions into a quick video. It won't be long, because you know, in terms of you know, actual announcements and substance, there isn't like a lot, but I do definitely recommend, like, for you know, for gamers who are interested in that, in design philosophy, this is a cool design philosophy sort of video. I think it's neat, even if it doesn't necessarily apply to you. It's cool knowing like what devs are thinking about stuff. Maybe if WoW comes to console, it'd be good for that too. Again, I don't. I see this as like maybe one step towards WoW being on console, but also not really, because if people want to play at a high level on console, then that's going to entail a lot of things. It would help to not have to worry as much about certain add-ons, but because of you know, because of like the roadmap, which doesn't exist right now, because of their intended roadmap, if it's going to be on console, it won't be for a long ass time anyway. And if it does, okay, cool, whatever. But can people just click the one button on their mouse? Some people have keyboard macro auto things on their software. They could just like stand there and do it. I like the idea of showing you what abilities should come next, but I don't like that it has the capability of doing it for you. I mean, then don't use the capability. That's kind of a logical reaction. Right, Chris? It's equivalent to Game Genie and Game Shark back in the day. What? Game Genie didn't do that. Game Genie just broke the game because it messed with the code and broke stuff a lot of the time. That said, I did use Game Genie back in the day. That was fun. You had to put in like the special code that like changed hexes and stuff, and then it did weird shit and possibly broke the game. That was fun. That was fun. And then Game Shark, we got all sophisticated with like, ooh, we can increase your memory card size and all that stuff. So you can plug in a mouse keyboard on console if they want to play higher content. Yeah. So, well, I'm not talking about the one button thing there, local. I'm talking about like the add-on philosophy, trackers and stuff like that. That's not going to be in for a while. So I wonder like how, you know, how much will the WoW team how much will they wait until they feel like, hey, you know what? I think it's console ready. Right now it's not. But who knows, in however many expansions, like, will it? Now something that I wonder too, like, I do AOTC stuff. I don't do like super high level things like that. I don't feel like I'm of the mindset, and this is just like a personal take. Um, I don't need add-ons. I just need timers really. And apart from that, I don't need like anything to like pre-assign me for stuff or anything like that. So it's almost like saying like, so what would like mythic raids be like in the future? Are they going to be as um timing and mechanic wise, are they going to have only the same complexity as heroic, but just be a lot more demanding? I don't know. There's a short on YouTube now where Ian describes it as literally as training wheels to help you learn a new spec. Yeah, I mean, that's, did he say the word training wheels? But yeah, I said this, you know, I agree with that. But I've been saying for a while the game needs to explain itself better. It's a great step. I started playing at the end of BFA, and to this day, I don't fully understand everything. Me neither. You know? But yeah, I don't even play at like that high of level either. You know, add-ons do cover a lot. So. All right, so how many more do I need? 2 more on the Warlock. let's see if I can. Yeah, I don't know if I'll be able to get like the total amount that I need because I don't think is yeah my TSM is not counting correctly. I love and hate TSM. It does what I want, but it just never, but it just doesn't work right. Mythic Raider weak aura coders will lose their job, and raiders will have to communicate more. Maybe, I don't know. I mean, if they do, cool. It is kind of funny though, when it comes to the race world first. You know, they're always going to figure out some way to, you know, do like a point. You know, they want to squeeze that 0.1% performance because it really matters to them. But it is kind of funny how, you know, on top of their, you know, they have their raid team, the actual raid team, they have their 21st player as the shot caller, and then you have on the back end you have like you have support staff, including weak aura programmers to quickly start throwing stuff together. You got analysts who are doing like some of the big brain work, all in an effort to help ease the burden from the actual players. You know, and that's the business of it. You know, that's how it goes. You know, like you're playing a professional sports ball game or whatever, basketball, football, whatever. You don't just have like, you know, the team out there just improvising the whole thing. There's a lot of shit that happens there. They're playing a different game. It shouldn't be the focus of WoW developers MO. But also WoW's a lot of different games too. There's a lot of different things that are going on in there. You know, like this week, was it this week now? Today feels like a long week. You know, we just had stuff on player housing. You know, so there's like lots of things happening that are like all sorts of focus. So, you know, I don't think it's fair to say like, oh, they're not focusing on this thing, because in the case of housing, at least, they just were. You know, for a feature that's coming towards the end of the year. So I have Soulburn hidden there somewhere? No, I don't. Oh shit, my cast was too slow. Oh, I feel like a monster. Hey, I'm not the only one here. I'm not the only one who fell asleep. Oh shit. Anyway. Oh, did I get interrupted again? No. I mean the first worlders. You mean them? Oh no. Oh, okay. They didn't click on it. Whew. That was scary. That was scary. I guess that's the consequence of like, who are the bigger content creators? Really? You wouldn't want me there talking about add-ons and stuff like that. No way. I would look at myself and be like, who the fuck is this guy? Right? But yeah, that's I think Sills is indirectly like pointing out something that, you know, WoW's just a big game, dude. And sometimes they'll sell, and you know, and sometimes we'll get interviews on one thing, sometimes we'll get it on another. I'm not feeling butthurt at the slightest that we're getting like, oh, the big, you know, big game director talking about this sort of stuff with world first raiders and stuff, because I mean they're high profile for a reason. How advanced is it going to be? Is it going to be filler until full holy power spender, or will it optimize if you're a Blessing of Dawn and whether you have a proc? Probably not. Probably not. You know, it's probably going to start off basic. Hey, you have 3 holy powers, spend it. You know, this thing procced, all of a sudden the one button proc thing is just going to fire that off. Because I think the current add-ons they do perform at that level. So my hope is that it's close. Now, keep in mind, You know, the 1117 PTR is going to come up pretty soon. So we'll find out. Ooh, you know, this is something that we're going to get very soon. So we'll see. Is the GCD increase for people using the one button rotation going to be a huge handicap? I'm interested to know. Yeah, I wonder how big. Now, you know what we're going to hear, though, right, Andrew? What we're going to hear is any nerf, like, just shouldn't be allowed. Nope, nope, nope. It should be 1-to-1. You know, if you know, someone out there is already thinking they need to make up for the GCD thing by just giving us who use this one button macro thing a 10% flat throughput increase. You know, someone's going to ask for that. I am not really in support of that. And I think they made it clear too. They wanted this to be more like an accessibility tool, a learning tool, and not like a replacement for, you know, a certain level of gameplay. Eventually, take the training wheels off. They're right there. Have at it. One more. Is this live? Am I live? Maybe. 10% minimum DPS loss. I mean, relative to what though? You know, I think of how people talk about, oh my God, I'm going to lose like 10% of my damage, which is, you know, to say that people are going to lose damage because of like any certain thing. That's mostly relative to like, you know, the person's skill and performance and gear and what have you. So not for casters, to the average player's skill. Well, I think, yeah, I guess it just depends on how. So did they say 0.2 seconds GCD? Was that going to be the difference? I didn't catch that. I need to make a note of that for today's video. Boop. But still, I mean, I think it's yeah. Coming from me, thumbs up. Thumbs up. You know how some people were like, "Oh my God, delves or follower dungeons. This is going to get me to play the game more or to try different classes." And I've read enough that I believe that statement, that it's getting people to try out more classes and explore more of the classes that are available. It's probably not going to change my mind at all. I'm still gonna stick with what I've got, because it's not just the familiarity of being a prop paladin. It's just like I like everything that it is, and everything else is inferior. It would be like a 30-50% DPS to yeah. So people who play at like the high end, they're not going to look at this thing at all. For them, this is nothing. You know what high end players, higher end players paid attention to in this interview was the add-on philosophy and how encounter design is going to change a little bit to where you just don't need add-ons. You know, certain kinds of add-ons, I should say. Yeah, so yeah, I tried taking some notes. I'm hoping that this can be like a less than 10-minute video and won't be so bad. So you're saying a point. I'll need to look at like the exact time index for that so I can get the context. So 0.2 second penalty on GCD if the auto thing if the one button thing. Okay. Do I need to do a solo for people? Nah, I'm fine. One button is going to incentivize trying classes. Yeah. Or at least it's going to help, you know, that intro into a class. I guess the one question that I have that wasn't talked about is, will it work during leveling, or is it only like, hey, when you need to be past a certain level in order for it to activate? That I'm not sure about. Or that I don't think they talked about. So as people are like growing into their class as they're leveling, now it's like, oh, this button is getting more busy. It's not just doing one ability, now it's doing two, now it's doing three, now it's going back and forth through these other things. What is this? And then hopefully they'll start figuring it out. The concern that I have though is like for people who are doing that and they're leveling into their class, by the time they get to max level, it's like, okay, I have this one button that's been doing all these things. Now I need to learn what all these buttons do for reals. But then that's when they'll move up to the combat assist. They'll move away from the one button, go to the combat assist, and then start to actually hopefully learn. And if they don't, then they'll pay the consequences. Simple as that. Can't wrap my head around this. It's big brain stuff happening, man. It's big brain stuff. Just like the F1 game assist that have a 10-second difference between the best players without assist. Oh no, I think I know what you mean by that. Go away. Cool. And that's my fight. What's the consequence? That you underperform and you get kicked because you ain't doing good, or or when you're actually in a fight and you're like, oh, my rotation button's not working at all. Oh no, what's going on? It's because you got to move every couple seconds because of mechanics, and it's like, oh shit. So yeah. It's all good, Inky. The I guess the concern right now is that 11.17 provides literally nothing for you at the moment. You can't let it go. Well, I think he borderline trolls, so he just likes to keep up those kinds of rah conversations. So AFK leveling. I mean, if anything, I'll be. That's when I'll definitely put WoW on my controller and just like kind of like bum around. Patch is called Legacy of Arathor, so at least there's at least the story. Is there a source for that? I saw a couple posts that saying, "Hey, this is what the patch name is," but have we seen anything yet? Yay. It's on the paragraph on the WoW News article blurb. Oh, okay. I totally missed that then. So that was... No, stop. Not that. I just want to see the news thing, please. So, okay, there's that. Oh, Legacy of Arathor. Okay. Cool. Neat. So Arathi stuff is going to lead us, well, maybe it won't lead us into the necessarily into 11.2, but it'll be close to that. Okay, so this dude is done. Boop, boop, boop. Next. It was subtext in the video as well. I saw that the subtitles were getting in the way. I was like, stupid subtitles. Okay, so I got two more characters? Two more characters. Okay. 3 more characters. Yeah. 3 more characters. Hopefully actual story instead of the night following garbo. It'll be more Aurelia Turalian soap opera. Maybe, but then like it's Arathor. So that's got nothing to do with them directly. I think it's gonna be Anduin and Farron hooking up. You know, they're gonna knock boots. Watch. And then we're gonna get some stupid shit about interracial relationships. Oh my god. But yeah. Somebody rockin' knockin' the boots. I hope I'm not the only one who knows that song. Right? Actually, I forget who sang that song. Shit. Somebody rockin' knockin' the boots. Do. Okay, now I gotta know who it is. Is Silk or something like that? It's by... Can't tell. H-Town. Okay, ain't her... Okay, I'm not familiar with the name. Just the song. We already had that with Anduin preferring blue girls. Like her. Because, yeah, she hot. Some mixed babies for the Stormwind royalties. Yeah, I can see that happening. Oh my god, they're polluting the bloodline. Oh Christ, I hope we don't get that. No, we would definitely get that from fans. Look at WoW, it's becoming more blended. I'm like, yo, we got like elf human. Yeah. Like Horde and Alliance wasn't enough, you know? Okay, I like this pad. This pad is pretty neat. This is helping a lot with me like standing around. It makes it very chill. I think I might try to get a smaller one though. So I love Anduin because he's woke as shit and he don't care. Yeah, fuck, dude. I want to see a torn elf baby, not a torn gnome baby. Come on. What's that name? Local top in your area. Wow. All right. Let's see. I'm gonna wait till 12:01 this time to pop off stream. I want to see if they happen to because the trading post stuff happened at like 12 o'clock and then I popped off. I'm like, oh no. So I put out that video a little bit later than I wanted to. So I wonder if it'll announce like the patch too. Cause then I can just smash that into like one video where I talk about, okay, here's what's coming. And then here's a link to the interview, but then here's what else is happening in the patch and stuff. Got me playing Comp Stomp? Yeah. Oh, I didn't queue up, you doofus. Pop gun. Comp Stomp. Go. One arm check is a Lothar. I thought they were kind of like not, you know, I mean, they're from the same family, but it's not like they're you know, close or have a relationship or anything like that. So it's like a totally different sort of family. But I believe they're like supposed to be kind of a royal-ish or a noble family, something like that. I don't remember too well. Some of you guys who are on top of the lore stuff definitely know better. You're just 370 rep away to get level net. Damn, nice. I'm like level shit. Where am I at? I'm at 3. I'm almost 4, baby. Woo. Yeah, I'm taking my time on it. Oh, if anything, I'm prioritizing this shield stuff first. Then Children's Week, and then uh, and then I'll work that stuff because I still have some time. I don't know if I'm gonna like try to hard farm it though. Like that'll burn me out if I keep doing like one hard farm after another. I'll be like, I gotta take a break. I gotta take a break. I gotta play me some Dynasty Warriors. I gotta play like some phone games. I gotta do something else just to keep my sanity, you know. I there's some folks to thank too. Thanks to TBS 42, to Gredford and Sills Games for subscribing. Thank you very much. I know I didn't say anything during the interview. I wanted to uh, not commentate too much, or try not to talk over him too much. But yeah, I want to know what else. Blizz. Let's see. WoW Classic 24th Anniversary Edition Phase 4 happens whenever. Nice. Good for them. Good for them. Do I have my int buff? Int buff. I definitely can't help but think that the next saga is going to have something to do with the Arathi Empire. They can't just leave that alone. They can't just make it a mid patch or a single patch. It's got to be like, and I don't even think one expansion would do. Here is the Empire of, Erethdor, and then it's just like this island, a one expansion island. Nah, man, I want to see like a big old 3 expansion like thing where we see more and more of the Empire. That'd be sick. Okay, well, I'm familiar enough with the name, so just give the Dynasty Warriors OST, and that falls close enough with how it gets played now. Now, I've been doing that from the start, baby. Woo, woo, woo. Yeah, he's a descendant from a high rank, so like just a noble blood, but not like a king or anything like that, right? Just a noble line. I don't want to be stuck hanging out with a bunch of religious fanatics for a whole expansion, but maybe you'll be killing a bunch of them. I suck. I suck. Oh, I'm a mage. Okay. Christ, man. Mage, warlock, whatever. Do. Dude's like, if you don't have gear, don't volunteer yourself to say. I didn't see no one going for it though. They're all being punk asses. So fuck that. Someone's got to do it. Hate to spoil it for you, but most classes are religious fanatics. Hunters too. Weirdos. I don't think Arathi are the fanatic ones, or the Scarlet people. But then the way that they were framing the Arathi Empire, they were talking about like they're kind of like not God King, but they were talking about like how it's oppressive. They're not very friendly towards non-human races or something like that. I think I might have missed that part, but it was something like that because of or something like that, even though they are cool with like being half elves and half humans and stuff. Ooh, yay. Get that 100. Yeah, so that's kind of what I'm thinking, like that the Arathi Empire is like, they have their super loyal followers, everything's cool, but then also maybe there's like a Naru behind them or something like that. But I also want to think as the Arathi Empire as like a subtle antagonist and not exactly like, oh my god, they're pure evil. I'd like to see the framing of a story where I'm sorry, I know I've said this a bunch of times already as like a stupid theory, but like I want to see the Arathi Empire as like, hey, we're looking at, you know, the Eastern Kingdoms and Kalimdor as like this really like rotten place. Like it's weak. It's um not ripe for conquest, but it's like so chaotic, and we need to bring things to heel. So now we're gonna come over and break shit. And so they become an antagonist, but like their intent is, you know, one part conquest, but not for evil purposes, but just because, hey, we think we can fix the world or something like that. But then maybe later throughout the saga, then we see like the emperor of the Arathi Empire become more and more crazy, and then we find out, oh no, it's because, you know, there's been a Naru the whole time, or, you know, oh my god, a twist. Right? Yeah, like they want to unify. They want to unify the world under the light or something like that. And at first, it doesn't seem like that bad, but then it gets really, really bad. Hunters are just furries too deep in the closet to play druids. I don't want to be the druid. I just want to get an experience. Didn't that happen in Draenor? Not in game, or at least we didn't experience it happening. But then we just saw like the impact of it with Urel and all that stuff. But do they have a Keanu Reeves to back their fight? Wait, what? OMG, it's a Dreadlord. Or like you know, what if they see something like you know, as the Arathi Empire gets more extreme with its tactics, they employ the Scarlet Crusade. You know, knowing that they're like brutal and just fucked up, they're like, oh, we'll just use them anyway because they're like good fodder. I can kind of see that too. Yeah, so I'm looking forward to what's next too. I'm hoping that War Within kind of puts to rest a lot of you know, it doesn't wrap everything up, but it wraps up a lot of like some of these older storylines, and really settles like the whole, you know, safety of the planet kind of thing. It's, you know, maybe we'll get into the cosmic stuff later on, but I think that getting a good solid saga that's right here on Azeroth proper would be cool. You know, and it's on the surface, not high in the sky, not cosmic shit, not shit that's down below, ancient things, like present stuff. Idea of the Yorathi being overly powerful, but also being too stupid to do anything about the wider world ending issues, except for the single prophecy, is kind of whack, though. We'll see what they cook up, right? We'll see what they cook up, because at least from the feel of it, the other side of the world had that storm barrier kind of thing, and, you know, they just were like, fuck it, we don't want to deal with it. Maybe. It's like it's kind of like saying, you know how Pandaria had like the mists around it and all that stuff, and then finally revealed itself. Now it's almost like saying the entirety of you know, the WoW map as we know it was also encased in like this big storm thing, and then all of us are suddenly revealed to the rest of the planet. Ah. I mean, they do reference things that happen, like the Legion invasion and the Cataclysm. I think they do mention that. I'm not familiar with everything that they say about it. Just that they acknowledge that it happened. Ooh. Commit genocide against goblins and delete them from the game. Sure, that's totally gonna happen. If that was the case, what would be the other side of the planet think of the big ass giant Sargeras that appeared in the sky from their POV? They weren't there though, right? It's not on their side. They might not see it. They might have felt it. You know, I'll be curious to see if, like, You know, if we go there, what other references are they going to make to the Legion invasions, to Sargeras and all that stuff? Do they even call Sargeras the same thing? Do they have a different name for him? That'd be kind of odd. It's kind of what they were setting up with Cersei and Cyrano. A little bit, yeah, just a little bit. All right. Okay, so this is the third. Oh, really? I'm already on the third? Damn. Oh, you know, I think I did do one by accident yesterday. Yeah, I did one by accident yesterday. Because I did the comp stomp, but I didn't pick up the... I didn't pick up this quest, or one of the quests, so... Now I'm going to go behind. Or if anything, I'll, like, chill here. Just don't leave me, please. Don't leave me. You saw his loincloth. Brrr. I mean, you think about it, like Sargeras. If you look at that back at that cinematic, it was almost like he was like a big kid clutching a giant beach ball. So it's like, I know that he probably didn't make his legs actually appear like that, but it's like, what if what if he was like rubbing his junk all over one chunk of the planet? Or like, what if he dipped it in the water? Ew, gross. TJ, you're welcome, dude. It's like, yeah, this part of the planet, yeah, we endured Sargeras' thigh sweat. Ugh. Meanwhile, other regions are like, well, you didn't see his fucking taint. Like, then people are like, oh man, brutal. Sorry about that, buddy. You're too slow. The Rothian Empire just got teabagged, lol. Torrential rains for days. And the smell, my god. We call it the cosmic taint. And then since it's so like damn dirty, like it just the oceans got all jacked up and something like that size should be visible from like 80% of the planet. That's how horizon scaling works. But like, what if it was like, I'm just saying, like, what if it's like directly on the other side? Then you couldn't see it, right? Unless there's something sciencey I don't know about, where you can in fact see on the exact opposite side of the planet. Am I standing up to play? Yes. Yes, I am. I would have been walking if I had a working treadmill. But apparently, I'm a big butt, and I break treadmills, so, yeah. Now, I wonder if that would affect... I don't know how this would work, but, like, given like rotation and whatnot and the size of what the sword should be, like, don't trust how it looks in game. It's like really, really big. Like, how would that affect I mean, it should affect a lot of things, but I wonder how would that affect like sunlight going to like other parts of the world where it's just like, oh, it's just constantly dark. Fuck this place, I hate living here. That stupid sword all the way over there is just blocking the light somehow. So there's always, so it's just, there's like always like this kind of haze because it's sort of behind the sun. That would be so annoying, dude. And are you good yet? Okay, they're good. Hey, what's up? You're the man. Got nothing but love for you and your content. I always watch your YouTube stuff, so I'm pumped to catch me streaming live. Thanks for what you're doing. Hey, thank you, dude. That took a moment to type up. I appreciate that, dude. And then just gonna take that and copy paste it to the next one. I'm just messing. Thank you, dude. Yeah, that I appreciate that. This kind of shit that gives me fuel. One girl is 14 degrees cooler now. You know, that would have been cool if the sword stabbing thing was like a more cataclysmic event, and then it affected some zones and caused like weather pattern changes and stuff like that. That would have been neat. That would have been neat. Of course, it's easy for me to like want things too. No, it's all good, man. I hope you got your drop, if not already. Otherwise, don't forget to get it. I mean, you got plenty of time. You still got a couple weeks left to get that drop if you want to work for it. All right, so this dude's done. So I think I can squeeze like a couple more games on another character. Let me just get this stuff out. And then I got like, I think boxes to open, boxes to open. Sweet. Oh, only 10? Oh, I think I might have mailed stuff out earlier too. I hope. But, oh, that's more stuff. And then I got 3 more characters. Definitely not going to get done today. But I want to keep an eye out for extra news. Maybe I'll just keep F5ing until there's like some news. Come on, baby. And then tomorrow's, the first is tomorrow, right? Right. Yeah, first is tomorrow. Sweet. So I'm going to go all, we're going to do like a Ninja Turtle raid. And even though it's not the last boss, I'm going to want to take a screenshot. I'm like, yeah, dude. Everyone, Ninja Turtle, let's go. Nah, not everyone's going to buy everything. Not everyone's going to want to look cool. You know, I'm kind of like, hey, they had like, I guess because it's like Ninja Turtle stuff, like they didn't want to go too far, but I wish they would have had a new kind of turtle shield. I think they could have had that. Yeah, I got a katana, but give me a turtle shield too. Oh, what if you get better healing numbers with the 1 button? You know, like, I think I do good numbers, but I just don't heal right. You know? Like, I don't know when the good times are to hit the buttons. Like what I do is just pure raid healing. Whenever I'm doing it on my, whenever I roll holy. Like, it's very reckless. It's like a lot of, it's a lot of raid healing. There's no good focus outside of the thing, the light, beacon. There we go. Like that's, but I guess that's the purpose. Turtle Shell's gonna disappoint some people that scale as fuck. I'm kind of hoping that it's just a problem with Wowhead's model thing. Yeah, I saw how it looks all funny. I mean, they can't make it too big. That would be a bit unusual. But they have also been fairly responsive when it comes to, oh, hey, this thing doesn't sit right on this character. Fix it. And then they fix it in like a couple days or something like that. Especially with something like this, because people are making even though it's not a real money purchase, it's a purchase. So, you know, hopefully they'll have it fixed or whatever. Wow. For sure, I'll do better DPS numbers with the 1 button. You know, people say, dude, that's easy. I'm like, okay, it's easy, and I think I'm doing okay, but I really still feel out of my element. I just like tanking. That's all. So what's the difference? Nothing, because I'm still not going to play red. Yeah. Oh, I was looking at the logs that you posted on whatever. Or that picture that you posted on Discord. I was like, wait, 80%? No way. And then I look, I'm like, oh, that sticks. Or I'm like doing like 80 something, 90% of the tanking. So I'm like, okay, I guess that's why the numbers are high. I'm cool with that. Yeah, that's definitely a fight where, you know, Grim does like all the mechanic work, and then Muggsy is where it's not even a lot of mechanic work that I do, but I'll handle like a lot of that stuff with the bombs and whatnot. When I'm actually allowed to pop them, at least. I think the plan that we had last night, I think that'll work out. We just need to get people to get used to the movement mostly. Get used to the movement, make sure hunters stay behind, take care of bombs, move quickly for the ice thing, and then it's just up to them. It's gonna be entirely up to them. If they die, then they're just dead. Whatever. We'll just try to save reses and have it available. So we might have to do that. You know, it's just like don't die. Mostly me. Don't die. Don't die early on. And we'll be okay. You know, we can just save the reses and get people right back up. I attack was on top when you don't count for damage from boss to boss. Well, good for you. Yeah, I'll tell the team that too, just so we can comfortably get into that last phase. No, win's a win. Yeah, whatever you did worked. That's the part that sucks though when doing that fight, is I get stunned all the time. Like, I'm more focused on just making the boss stays out of fire. And then I'll just get railed on. One after another after another. I'm like, oh, whatever. We're getting it. I'm not dying. At least I'm able to pop my cooldowns when I want to. That would be the bad part. If the boss is doing that meltdown, whatever it's called, and I get stunned and I miss the window, then that's a couple ticks of like pretty heavy damage. And I think we got that kill even when Grim either did too much threat. Well, I'm sure no, I think he taunted too early. He can't do too much threat on that one. Yeah, when he taunted too early, but then, you know, no, he didn't taunt back. There we go. That was it. He didn't taunt back in time, and then I had the debuff. I'm like, oh, great. But we were fine. Yeah, the sucky thing, Linky, about the bombs is that when you pop one bomb, you get a debuff where you take 500% more damage from later bombs, and most of the time I can just eat it. Like I can take it, but I think there was like one time where, yeah, I was at full health and just dead. So if you want to look at logs, you can see like which times I might have taken like more than my full health as damage, but then other times I won't, even with no cooldowns running or no defenses running. Like, so it's a little inconsistent, but then I was just like, okay, let me pop a little something to make it so I can survive it. The most troublesome thing, though, the thing that was causing us the most trouble, was people popping stuff too early. That part sucks. Okay, can I squeeze maybe one more? Yeah, I'll be able to do 2 games. So I'll finish this one, do one more. Cool. Yeah, so here's where it'd be a good idea to have like the one button. What class am I on again? Who cares? I'm pressing one button anyway. 23? Oh man. Yeah, how come some of them are like 23 and then other times when I have no cooldowns going, it'll be I guess I'll have to double check. Like there might have been times where I do take because if I recall, and I'll have to look at my footage for this one. If I bubble and hit the first two, I don't know if I get the debuff. Yeah. But then I also need to just make sure I have a cooldown available for his like big knockback thing too. That's kind of why I wanted to. That's why I want the Gallywix tanking trinket, because that's like almost 10 million absorbed, and that'll help me survive like most things. Maybe not that 23 million. Maybe that won't be enough, but that would be the intent there. It would help out a ton. All right, one more. Maybe two. Yeah, maybe I'll just do like an even one so I can stop with this character before I go to lunch. I'm no meteorologist, but something that size entering the atmosphere alone would have absolutely wrecked a huge portion of the planet, let alone the ecological impact. Yes, I mean, there would have been like, well, since it didn't hit the water, huge, I can later. Just that one scene from Sargeras like gripping the planet, that alone should have been like this massive, oh shit, huge, atmospheric impacts and all that stuff happening. I can't wait. All right, fine. Yeah, maybe we'll get dive for like Thursday or something. That'll be helpful. Let me see if anyone answered the call for keys. So I got Festies, Brave Spear, and Mac. Cool. One more. Maybe fell. I don't know if he's actually signing up. All right. Oh yeah, right, the Boston stuff. Missed it. Surprising you don't cast Log that much. No, not that much. Most of it is me scared because I'm losing threat. That's, I'm only half joking on that too. Like you'll catch me more than a few times where I'm like losing threat, or I lose aggro and then I gotta like taunt back before a mechanic happens. So. No, but I'm doing hella healing. I'm doing a good bit of self healing, absorbs, and whatnot anyway. So I can save my spenders for like others, for like just shield slamming instead. Like I'll mostly use it, honestly. I'll mostly use it to get charges for my super consecration, so I can do more damage. And sometimes I'll be at full health anyway. Mage table. I am not a mage, am I? Nope. I'm a shaman. I'm a shaman. Don't forget. Item level is 601. That's good. That works. Damn. People are already raging out. They're like, fuck this mage. Alright, 1 minute till oh shit, I'm alone. Uh-oh. Fuck. Well, I have some gear, so I'll hope for the best. Let's see if that guy encounters someone. Oh, wow. What a name. Wow Goddess. Wow Goddess. And their guild rank is bottom bitch? Damn. Alright. Cool. Let's see, I got Earth Ellie. Oh, I got this. I can pop that. And Sky Fury. What other little buffs do I have? Nothing I can notice. Alright. You need a nap? Cool. Take a nap. Oh no! Oh shit, I'm getting hurt. Bam, lightning thing. Woo! Alright. Isn't there like a, I don't know if it's a bug or not, but isn't there a thing where I guess my lightning bolt lit up. But like when I'm at full maelstrom. There's no, I'm surprised there's like no personal resource bar for maelstrom stacks. You'd figure there would be. But hopefully that's the only fight that I got. So I just hope that I survive the next one. If there's the next one. Okay, no announcement on the main page yet. Anything on the Twitters? Nope. Maelstrom is in. Yeah, I know it's in your buffs, but that sucks, doesn't it? I figured, you know, you'd figure it's like having holy power. It's like, oh, it's just a buff on your bars. Just watch it. Like, that's lame. I want it like right here, dude. You know, just like holy power. Seems perfectly reasonable. I mean, is it because it's a... Do all the specs have Maelstrom? I've noticed that usually only 2 will attack the farm. Yeah, it's usually 2. I think I've seen one instance where I've seen like a 3rd, but that was kind of weird. But I've seen 3. I think it's because that's where the team like tries to hold back and try to get some stupid achievement or something like that. And, like, that's it. Okay, so we'll do one more. One more. Promise. There's also the aura that displays above your character. So, I mean, there's nothing here. And I'm using base UI. So is it like the personal resource, maybe? Okay, it doesn't show. Oh, well. What are you talking about? Maelstrom Enhance has a building icon built in. Building spark. Yeah, how come I don't... I wonder why I don't see it then. Unless there is like something that I changed here? Nothing I see there. So. Yeah, so I don't see anything above here. And I have Maelstrom stats, so... No, I got 10. Right there. I must have messed something up. It's funny seeing, like, whenever I hit Storm Strike, it just feels like all the numbers, it's like blood pouring out. It's all just gushing out, like, rawr. Yeah, very odd. Oh, no, I believe you. I just don't know why it's not popping up. Because I'm broken. Oh, no. It's like fingers. Oh, it's like that. Huh. So I wonder why. Oh, gosh. I don't know where it would be here. I think it's a combat thing. Personal resource display. Yeah, not that one. Do not flash. Scrolling combat text for self. Mouse overcast. Self-cast. Spell alert? No. Action targeting? No. Lost control? Nope. I don't know. Something. It's probably because of tariff prices or something like that. Something tariffs, DEI, keyway, your game, Blizz, etc. Yeah, this is the only class where I see this happen. Like, I'll get procs for, like, you know, warlock stuff and mage stuff and all that. This time I'm gonna try going with the crowd. So I think that usually means going for the blacksmith. It's spell alert. Spell alert. Opacity, loss control alerts. I mean, that stuff's there. Graphics quality, all that's there. Yeah. Try resetting the opacity. Oh shit! Wow, that did it. Nice. It's so high up there. Why is it so? Why is it so high up there? I guess it's always been like, oh, you know, I know why. Because my character is low. It's not that my. Okay, cool. Thank you. Yeah, that's a simple trick. Turn it off, turn it on again. So does it scream only at 10? Or does it scream at... well, I guess I'll find out. Let me just go. I want to play a little bit too. And one more chance at new stuff. Oh, yeah. No, so the icon itself, like, it's like bigger and bigger or something? Let's find out. If I can manage to kill anything. Okay, so it starts growing. Well, oh, I'm gonna die. Oh wow, we couldn't handle this. Yes. Oh. Screams to 10 because of your 10 stack talent choice. Yeah, okay. Wow, a bunch of us died. Damn. A bunch of dudes like me, a bunch of nobody scrubs just trying to slam against it. I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna lust. That'll do it. That'll do it. Do. Raw. Oh, bad start. Yay. Oh no, I get him, Like when I'm tanking, I'll just like go for all of them. Oh shit. I'll just take on all of them and hold. Oh no. Oh. Ow. Yay. Oh, and here they come again. Fuck. I kind of remember like once upon a time where like the buttons would glow too. You know, for doofuses like me who are like, so is it maxed? Yeah. Am I sure? I think honor should be warband down. Oh, isn't it? Is it not? So transfer. Oh, it certainly looks like I can transfer honor. Yeah, I can just grab all this shit right here. Yeah. And we won! Go me. Alright. One last chance for new stuff. Gave him plenty of time to think it through. Alright. What the fuck, you can transfer honor? I thought you could for a while now. Was that not a thing? I mean, I never tried doing it until like this week anyway. Yeah, you get taxed, right? You get taxed if you take it out. Still cool though, because a lot of this honor is gonna go like super unused. I'm never gonna touch this stuff on these characters. So I say, fair game. You know, most of what I'm doing is like weekly quests so I can like stack stuff. Mostly stack the marks of honor and all that. So I have one. Okay, yeah, just one more dude. Yeah, it's not 1-to-1. I mean, it still works out because like these are, you know me, dude. These are like throwaway characters, so I'll take whatever I can get, even if it's not like a 1-to-1. And then I'll just like steal it all and then, you know, take it for like. Okay, let me see where I'm at on this actually before we head out. If you're just buying marks, don't transfer. I'm gonna transfer just because I'm otherwise not gonna use the character. Solamander? Yeah. Alright, so let's see how many things do I have. $1.47. So I need. Oh, I'm gonna be. Oh, no. So I need 13 more. 13 more, and then I'll be able to buy like all the stuff. So I think I'm only going to get like 12 on that character, on this last character, at most, and then I'm just gonna just keep doing it until I hit 160, and then I'll be able to buy the second ensemble. Oh yeah. Oh, that's a good point, Maha. Damn, smarts. Okay, so maybe I can be done, but I'm not gonna spend the honor. So yeah, so I'll buy the remaining marks that I need after I do this one last set of dailies or weeklies, and then the rest I can maybe convert them all into marks of honor for like the future. That's not a bad play. Or I'll buy like honor stuff that I don't have already. So that would be the play. Not bad. Thank you for the idea. That's a hell of a good idea. But I'm gonna head out. It doesn't seem like there's other news, so I'm gonna go to lunch, come back, and I'm going to kind of give an abridged version of what was talked about in the video, in the interview. Before that though, let's see. Let's take you to. Who's on? I'll take it to Bochi. He's doing a guild raid teacher. Sounds fun. He's cheating. He has no honor. Mwahahaha. All right. So today's Wednesday, right? Today's Wednesday. Cool. So we still got tomorrow. Maybe we'll do some Children's Day stuff. Unless I finish that, then I'll just get back to some of the regular routine. I got my delves to do and some other goodies, and then we'll talk about any other developments. And who knows? Maybe they'll still announce 11.17 at some point really soon. So for now, off I go. You guys have a great rest of your day. May your loots be merry, and I'll see you dudes for the next thing. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and as always, stay breezy. Bye.